Right, so it's the 27th of February 2025, and it's a bit of a buckled fuck up. Everything that I've ordered, because I wanted a specific thing ordered by a specific day, and I paid that extra cost to get that specific thing because I need it, and it hasn't arrived. So this is going to cause a lot of fucking trouble. Right, the next fucking problem is the burning problem last night was very bad. There's a lot of banging in sequence to threats, anything from breaking into, knifing you dead, to injecting you HIV, to smashing your brains out, to fucking ripping you to pieces, to shooting you dead, to telling me you're a fucking rapist and woman beater, and to digging on sexuality when I never had anyone in my whole life. So once we get through that and Jehovah fucking hangs me with all that cruelty fucking tearaway, we got a started catalytic converter walking out the door, a black, red and then a gun looking thing carried, and then flow gas van, choked by catalytic converter, funny sex nobody left said by school children, cursed in the way it's said, catalytic converter control, kids possessed to say molested Sadie when I've never had sex with Sadie, and then obviously 2 erections, ramming your willy up and down a bike, a motorbike, tied to an erection. That's the creator God for you, on crest, cruelty, fucking sexual slaughter, fucking tearaway, that fucking curses you to the fucking hill to cause as much shit stirring trouble and fucking havoc as that bastard can fucking possibly cause, cruelty cunt. Right, so I'm forced to cross the road fast to allow for black and fucking blue, right? Black and fucking blue, right? Right, dribbling whistles. Obviously there needs to be 4 sneezes in my face because the creator God is corrupt as fuck. Right, the bus service is too busy for me to get on the bus. I'm not sure I'm going to do this. They've also done it on the second bus. Could be because it's slightly cloudy, it's not fully cloudy, but could be they don't want me on the bus. So we're starting the obviously the government and all the creator God, you know, like I said, are buckled as fuck, cruelty fucking ice hacks and staking and fire power flaring bastards that want to cause coughing and sneezing over me to give me flu. Just not long had a chest infection because of this problem, and they got to continue it. There's no other alternative unless I walk back home, but I can't walk back home because there's nothing to do when I get back home. And I was up late and I'm waiting for that laptop to arrive and it hasn't arrived yet. It's the same with the chargers, can't even fucking do bonus a motorbike and black sexual times. Yeah, that's right, Christ, you corrupt bastard. Right, so phlegm, coughing, there's nothing I can do about it. As I said, this is the way the government or the creator God buckles my fucking movement. Obviously the sun's out, so because it's sexy, you know, the government wants sexy weather, sex in the sun. Right, so we've had a black sexual car, Kersey lorry, Dexter and AJC. So black and blue and black blue sexual time. Lots of conflict, but there's nothing you can do about it. The creator puts you where you fucking gotta be. The bastard can't stop it, the bastard's just possessed. The creator's just fucked up. Completely fucking fucked up. Right, so obviously Somerset Waste Partnership, Simmer Frame, lots of coughs, unescapable Bradfords. Said the God needs to rub in saying you've had Sadie when I haven't, because the creator God's just buckled a hell-bent cruelty fucking sexual slaughter tearaway. Right, it's a nice wet cough over me, Christ. It can't be stopped, Christ, because you're buckled, you're fucking hell-bent, you corrupt fuck. Right, the pen lid's refusing to go on, so obviously God's telling me we're making a fucking day of it for you, you bastard. Right, so black, white, red, yellow, YPH, yep, lorry, right opposite, Christ, you crooked cunt. Right, the other thing is I need a toilet, and there's no toilets around there, and they're stepping up the traffic flow, and everything else. Everyone coming out of their houses. It's sunny, it's a blue sky sexy day with sexual sunshine, which is violating me because pictures I take are not sexual. But obviously God wants me to take sexual. God wants to curse me with sexual. So in that way, God's telling me to enjoy sex with people that rape me as a child and saying it's sexual. Because God can't provide anything in my whole life. God needs you ripped to pieces and has to take the piss out of you. That's the way the creator works, because the creator's buckled as fuck. As you expect, the creator's fallen, so a crow's saying, "No, you dead." But there's nothing you can do about it. The creator's fallen. They're just packing everybody around me and packing everything. I need the loo. Well, well, I'm going to have to possibly wash my clothes, because they can't allow me to go anywhere, because they have to do this every time. They stack the toilets, they do everything they can. They need to do everything in a buckled fucking corrupt way. The creators of the devil, okay? The creators fucking buckled. I should sneeze in my face, but obviously the creators buckled, as I said. The creators really fucked up. Okay, so I've just been taking sight. It's not important what I'm taking, obviously. I'm just doing it in the shadow areas of the sunshine. It's like a signpost. But regardless of that, they need to step up the traffic to try and stop me taking a picture, even though there's not. We need to put everybody in the way. Rough people. There we are. Because the creators fucking buckled. Right, so I'm walking with a very sore backhand, and they just will not let me do anything. They need to put everything around me. They need to cause everyone's movement to be controlled around me. Isn't it funny, Downing Street? Well, it's funny. You know, the government are laughing, they're stupid. They're fucking buckled in the head. They're crooked. They're fucking hell-bent. There we are, next car. They don't... No, I'll put up with the pain. Well, I've got things I need to do tomorrow, but obviously they don't want me to do it. The government are going to control me in this stupid way. We've got bikes to Erections, Downing Street. It's funny, Downing Street. It's a laugh. You stupid, buckle-minded fucking billionaires. Right, so I ended up coughing, and the government are stacking and packing the people around me as heavy as they can possibly stack it. Because the creator's fucking buckled. The creator gods are just a crest bastard that rips people to fucking pieces, causes as much havoc and as much shit stirring as a bastard can fucking stake with. The cunt's just fallen. The cunt is a fucking fallen. He's just a cruelty bastard fucking tear apart. Right, so there's been many catalytic converter controls, but you know the creator's fucking buckled, man. Well, I'm just going to have to wait for the bus, because the government are just stacking it like fucking anything. Packing as much trouble, shit stirring, as much mayhem, and as busy as they can fucking make it. Right, so just fucking hitting out the sexual cars. Itchy Pummel, loud bike, red sexual GSF, red sexual grey, orange red, lots of black and blue, Harbury van, and about 200 more cars, 90% to every car on the road in that pattern, where they need to do it in a buckled way. Right, so I went on pause because it needs to do that, because I need to not get evidence, Christ, you crooked fucking cunt. Right, so if we go black and fucking blue, white, sick, white, smash glass looking lorry, ambulance, hearse, red, white, black and blue, gun looking, cheering van straight after, and flu on the bus forces me off the bus. Yes, it's flu, Christ, it's only flu. Right, so I'm down a regular road now. Not that regular, I've only been down here about 20 times before. And before the summer of 2024 I never discovered this route. So the bus isn't actually that far to where I actually went to, so it's just a case of kind of going back in the direction I was when I was on the bus. So it's still in Yeovil, but it's on the just on the edge of going out of Yeovil. So it's in the Yeovil barriers, but it's still like, you know, a need to take the bus for that shorter journey time, or whatever you want to call it, or just to make things simpler. This actual part of the road is near enough identical as the first time I went down here, believe it or not, because every time I've been down here, down this specific part of the road, there's been at least 50 cars, no matter what time of day or night it is, after the first 2 times I went down here on that hot summer weather in 2024. The road before it, though, is a different matter. Eventually this route leads onto the barrack walk that I do, So I've decided to, because what initially I was going to go is to the bus station and possibly do something different from there, or go into the town, and I decided, instead of going right into the town, in some ways it was really pointless getting on the bus, because I could have walked it, but I didn't have this in mind. I just thought, that being people with flu on the bus and not wanting to catch flu after a chest infection, I thought I'd go into plan B. It's possible, but I would have done it even if there wasn't flu on the bus. It would have been a decision that I would have made, but whether that would have taken place, I don't know. Right, so if I can get a fucking say without having to stop every fucking recording and litter everywhere, I've just gone on the side to avoid slipping into the mud, into the wet mud, into the water. And what happens? God wants me to slip into the mud, so I go into the water and get it all over my foot, over my shoe. How fucking buckled can you get, Christ? You fucking crooked, hell-bent cunt. Right, as far as my chest infection goes, or the coughing goes, apart from feeling like you've been punched in the fucking stomach, in the side, so when you cough, can't cough without pain, or feeling bloated, then the chest infection is pretty much feeling like it's gone. You've still got the coughing's not gone at all. I was drinking some alcohol last night, and I just had one of those little gin and tonics for the first time in a couple of weeks, and it's a possibility that's what's causing dry teeth, or causing the plaque, or the what you call it, to come off the teeth, the well, what's it called, enamel, if I can get the word out, Christ, because you need to stop me fucking saying whatever I want while fucking digging fucking brambles in my fucking head and fucking neck while causing me to forget the word. That's the problem. The creator's just fucked up, completely fucked up. The bastard's just a crest bastard that gets pleasure out of ripping everything to fucking pieces that's living. A cruelty fucking disease fucking works of fucking evil, buckled Satan work. That's the creator for you. Jehovah, fucking evil. I had a dream recently of Jehovah locking me in toilets and dark places and stopping me get out by terrorising me with demonic forces of scary evilness. Now that tells you who the fucking bastard, doesn't it? And then obviously you've got people like Jesus that's going to put you in the fucking fire of hell, accusing you of sexual sins when you've never been or never raped these people, and Jesus is making it clear that you have. There's nothing you can do about it. God is just fucking twisted, buckled, hell-bent, and a cruel fucking disguisable bastard. There's something else I want to mention. Apart from a 2-minute period of some form of cloud cover earlier, while taking a picture of a signpost or something like that sort of area, not the one I mentioned, another one, take that away, there hasn't been any cloud cover whatsoever that's gone across that sun at all, because Jesus wants it to be sunny around me, because Jesus wants me to have sex with Lauren. But there isn't a Lauren Christ. It's going to be replaced with someone that raped me as a child. You fucking crooked hell-bent cunt. I don't know what her actual name is, whether it's Laura, Laurel, or Lauren, but it's one of them. She works at Tesco's, but it's not that. I don't think the actual painting is suggesting that person. It's the nearest description that I can give where that painting resembles that lady. It also looks very similar to Amelia, which is that precious 7-year-old girl who's probably about 12 or 13 as it stands today, who's had a rapture dream, and on Lake Shearsire, Lake something is a channel, and it's a 7-year-old precious girl that's looks very similar to Britney Spears in some ways, but a child version of her, and she's very comical and laughable when she's talking about demons running into her and scaring her, and you know, and she's into hamsters, her mother says, or someone says she's into hamsters. Her name's Amelia. She kind of looks like that as well. But if you're going to talk about Amelia, she's still a child. But not only is she a child, she's actually a child that's in a sexual relationship. So before legal age, when she reaches 18 or whatever, or 16, or if it's still 16, I don't know, they keep changing it, and change it in a way where they stop me getting anyone, like when it came to Susan in 2003. She just turned 17 and I was in my early 20s at the time, and she liked me, so she went to get to know me, but because the government upped the age of consent from 16 to 18 for that one specific year, it turned her against me, and she got someone the same age and became a single mother, and then they dropped the age back down to 16 again the following year. That's how sly they're working with the age of consent to stop me getting sex, and that's how they stopped me getting anyone in the past. Because they want me to sex suck people that raped me as a child, and they want me to rip me to fucking pieces and stop me getting anyone, so they're working like that. And then obviously they put the age up on alcohol and fags and all the rest of it, knowing that all these people are going to be single mothers before the age of 25. Well before that. You won't find someone 25 that's not a single mother. It's like that, near enough. You're 1 in 1 million possibly. It's like that. But, you know, the government fucked my life up. And not only are they doing that to do that, but while they're pissing about stopping me get sex all my life, they're telling me to enjoy sex with people that raped me as a child, taking the piss out of people that raped me as a child, causing the Creator God, slicing my throat with the Creator God, causing the Creator God to fall against me, to rip me to fucking pieces. You name it, you name it. There's nothing you can do about it. The Creator's fallen. But anyway, going back to this Lauren. So you've got this person that works in Tesco's, look-alike to this painting of this sexual sun curse, where it shows, I'll give you a quick description. I know I mention it on every other video, but I'll just quickly mention it again. So there's a painting that's been put on postcards to sell publicly and commercially. Not just a painting. If it's just a painting, it wouldn't be so bad. But because it's a big selling painting, and it's a sun curse type picture, is what pisses me off. And the fact that I'm the one that's being cursed with the sunshine circling me in the same way as that painting every fucking day I go out. But the problem is I'm being violated with it because I'm not getting the sex. The sex is going against me. They're violating me with the sex of this sex cursed fucking painting. So her legs are behind the clouds. She's got identical colour skin, the same type of paleness of skin, and the same smoothness of skin as what Britney Spears, the famous singer, had when she was in her early 20s. Identical, literally identical in the way it's painted. They have to make it look sexual skin because it's a sexual painting, so to make it look smooth. So she looks like she's in her early 20s anyway, so that's why I say in her early 20s. So, but part of her's naked, obviously. She's moving her body in a, ooh, I'm a sexy person way, and also she's holding her hand out, like she's stretching her hand downwards in a sexual way, but the sun's coming out of her hands, cursing this chap that's walking down the track, same type of track I'm walking down at the moment, in fact, while I've got the sun circled around me at the moment in that way. And the person actually does look like me from a side angle of my nose, or my shape of my nose and my kind of face, in some, well, basically the nose is definitely identical to my nose in that picture. The person's wearing older clothing than me, so the person looks like he's about 50-ish, so about 5 years, a bit, just over 5 years older than me, and obviously, but in the face appearance looks slightly younger if I remember, quite a bit younger, but it's hard to say. It's the way it's painted. Yes, my willy's up. It's a motorbike down in straight. Yeah, I just need to state that a minute, because my willy keeps on going up with a motorbike because the government are cheering about it. They want my willy to go up over a motorbike. Right, so sex with bikes. Right, let's get past that because they keep on doing it. I've got to write same again because it's happening again. They're not giving me a say. That's what the government want, you see. They want me on my bike. They want to take the piss, but I do it in a stupid fucking way, or a pathetic way. It's like they time lookalikes to people that sexually abused me as a child, tied to an erection. They need to cheer about it. They need to do it in a stupid fucking way and laugh about it. They're billionaires. And on a regular basis, they've got the t-shirt name Spill Your Guts. But spill your guts over someone that sexually abused you as a child, not a girlfriend. And say make love, not war. But make love and not war with someone that sexually abused you as a child. Or age is just a number, it's love that counts. But with someone that sexually abused you as a child, not a girlfriend. Over 50 is too old, under 50 is fine. Those 3 t-shirts that I just mentioned then, not so much as Spill Your Guts, but it does occur on a regular basis now. But they were timing those other 3 that I just mentioned every other day before Labour got in power, or the Liberal Democrats got in power for the local election to rip me to fucking pieces. They were timing a ripping you to pieces van as I was passing the vote Liberal Democrats. signposts winning here just before they got voted. So 2 months before that, on a near enough every other day, no time in that ripping you to pieces van to pass the vote Liberal Democrats, and they did get in power. Yes, they did for the local election, but it was the Labour Party for the main election. So it's turned out true. Yes, they want me ripped to fucking pieces, and this is on YouTube. The dates can be verified on YouTube with previous recordings that I made months before the election took place, and it's turned out true. They were voted to rip me to fucking pieces, as they wanted to put it. Right, I've not managed to record it because obviously God shut his fucking face to disguise the evidence, but a crow's going, ha, ha. There we are. God, and now the next bike. Right, anyway, going back to this law and painting. So the next description, like I said, this person's like lonely walking down the track, clothing of someone in his late 40s or 50, maybe a bit on top of 50, but not much. But the actual facial appearance is younger. Same shape nose as me from a side angle. Boyish look, but in an adult. What else? And the rest of the paintings are mystical paintings. It's a really nice looking painting, in fact. So you've got like a little cottage or a little farmhouse which is thatched. You've got like a round hut somewhere in the picture towards the back where the fields are. You've got like greener fields. It's mystical the way they've done it. It's like a really quality painting. It's not one of these cheap paintings. They make it really look really nice. And then obviously I think there might have been a thunder and lightning strike in the top corner. I cannot remember. I take into account I've only seen this picture for a few seconds, and it was in Yandles in Martok going back in 2023. I did see it again back in 2015 or 2016 area, which was on the internet, but they've taken it off the internet. When I went to get it in Martok, it was too late for me to get it, so I had to go back and get it. They were stopping me get on the bus service, packing the bus every day, and obviously it was hot sunny weather, and even on the cloudiest days they were making it even worse. So I did manage to get back there, and the painting wasn't sold on the postcard because it had already sold. So I decided to get the information. So I got the person who painted the picture written down on a piece of paper for me by the lady that works in there. 3 months later I went back, and unfortunately I asked again, and they just got me down as a child rapist. They think I'm Savan. You know, that's sort of impression. So they started making remarks or sort of saying, you know who he is, don't you, and behind my back and things like that. And when I asked for that information again, they don't know what you're on about, saying, and they said it was written down before, and well obviously it's you know, I can't remember what she said now, but they just weren't very helpful. And I've not seen that painting since, and I've not been able to get the evidence. They actually locked one of my YouTube channels because I was filming a newspaper with a day's date, walking in the shop filming, keeping the camera on record, to say I'm being sexually cursed with this sexual curse painting. But the problem is it was a cloudy day right across the whole of the UK, and they reported no sun anywhere in the UK, and that's why they closed my YouTube channels. They didn't close it, they just blocked me from signing in, and I still can't sign into it now. But I do have another channel, and they haven't blocked me on all the videos that I put on there, just that previous channel. So they're trying to disguise it, you see. They're doing the sun around me on purpose, and they're trying to disguise it sunny, trying to make it look like I'm getting a cloud like everyone else, and then they're bullshitting with me with a sexual curse, making it sound like you're like everybody else, and claiming that you've had sex like everybody else, saying that you should be fucking people that raped you as a child. They're just twisted, hell-bent and buckled. And when I started making these conspiracies, not long after they buckled my YouTube channel, I continued to do it, and I was getting more evidence, and the evidence is on there now. Literally every day it's sunny, where it's cloudy for everybody else. There's been over 100 times last year where the BBC and the Met Office said there's going to be cloud today, and it's turned out blue skies and sunny where I am, lying on the forecast over 100 times. There was at least 80 plus times I was speaking to my mother on the phone where it's cloudy where she was, and sunny where I am, and sunny only where I am. And, you know, it's like that. But the problem is, where they're cursing me with the sun, they're violating me, because it comes with the sex when it comes to this painting. So the painting's basically a witchcraft painting. You're under a spell, right? So this spell is, I got a magic wand, I'm going to cause it to be sunny where you are, and that son's going to reward you with sex, something that you've been looking forward to all your life and never had it, and it's going to reward you with someone in their early 20s that looks like the lady that's cursing you with a son on this painting, which has turned out to be false. So what's happened then is, when we went into 2024, the government started getting nasty with these setups and control force around me and saying, you want to fucking start war with these sexual setups and that specific painting? We'll tell you what we want. You can fuck people that raped you as a child. Yeah, that's your fucking reward, alright? We want to fucking start war, and then they get nasty about it and try smashing overhanging trailers to smash my legs up from behind, timing rough people on my path to cause trouble and threats, and trying to smash me to fucking pieces with vehicle control. So that's the way they want to work it. They don't like it because I have evidence of the sun curse. They don't like it, you see. They want to violate me, and they're getting nasty about it because of the sexuality that's involved, that should be rewarded to me when the sex of the sun is cursed around me every fucking day. I was in bed for about 10 days. I only managed to go out in the evenings to go to Aldi's, feeling like a piece of shit because I had chest infection. They deliberately caused those 10 days to be cloudy right through, and they're the only 10 days where it's been cloudy for that amount of days in one go since 2021, or just before I moved to Yeovil, or that sort of time period. But then again, when I was camping in 2021, it was a very sunny year that year as well, so I do remember there being some form of cloudy days coming towards September to December period of 2021 when I moved to Thorn House in Yeovil. That was when I moved there, obviously, and that's the last time you had a cloudy day. Otherwise there's been no more than 6 cloudy days for a total of 365 days of 2023, and maybe about 7 to 8 days for 2024. But, and this year, take away those cloudy days I mentioned, there's only been the equivalent to about 1 3/4 days of cloudy weather where I've been out in 2025, which is not bad for February. It's not bad, yes, when you consider the year before, there's literally, and the year before that, where January and February is literally less than half a day in total for the whole of the month, those 2 months, for any cloud or rain cover. But you know, I don't know what the rest of the year is going to be like, but if you look at yesterday's weather where they're causing it to be cloudy, followed by, well, causing it to be sunny, followed by torrential rainstorms or heavy rainstorms, you know what they're fucking up to again. 2022 is the cloudiest year of when I noticed that it was just being sunny all the time. You had at least 2 to 3 weeks of 24-hour days of cloudy weather, which is mostly torrential rainstorms followed by blue skies and sunshine. You don't get, even 2022, I was pissed off with the sunshine and I couldn't get my pictures, but even in that year I could still enjoy myself, or it felt like life wasn't down to the floor. But now we've got this sunny weather 24/7 every single day. You can't enjoy life now anymore. You're just down to the fucking ground. But if you're being cursed with Lauren, or a sexual Lauren lookalike curse with a sexy painting, then you should be getting the sex. But no, God's violating me. God's being a nasty bastard about it. Right, so let me give you more of the details of this specific lady that's on this painting and why I call it the Lauren curse painting. Lauren saw me holding a CD asking if anyone is single, because I was getting pissed off back in the 2015 area, 2016 area, because obviously I've been sexually abused, never had sex in my whole life, suffering for a fuck, because obviously I've not had sex in my whole life. So obviously I went around with that. Obviously I had to stop doing that when I moved to Yeovil, because people were getting nasty, claiming that everybody's had sex and saying that they have sex on a Friday night, and I was being threatened with manslaughter, to be smashed in with a knife, and I was chased with a knife, and I've been almost beaten up because of it showing up. So I just put a music track on there instead, and in most cases it just says The Alliance First Impressions, which is a Legend Records tune that was later reissued on Reinforce Records on Enforcer 6, which is like a dark, moody start to the track, which sounds like a cellar with bats flying around, and it's got a very rare groove sound to it. And in case you don't know what track that is, it's the same track as that really moody track that's on Dreamscape 8, Groove Rider, the Godfather mix, which is the 25-minute mix on side B of the techno mix that's on the other side, which is mixed by DJ Clarkey. So it's basically that track. When I first knew the track, I thought it was titled Dark and Moody Volume 4 because of the, because of that, that track. But I found out later on it's the Alliance First Impressions. But I can't go where I want to go. The path's flooded right through. I've never known that flooded. I've only been down here a few times before, but it looks like my fucking day's come to an end, doesn't it? Let me just have a look. Whether it's possible, it doesn't look it. No, the path's completely fucking buggered. You need wellies to get down there. I'm going to photograph the evidence of that. Hang on. Right, so that's photographed. You know what's caused that, don't you? It's the torrential rain we had yesterday, followed by blue skies and sunshine. That's what the weather was like yesterday. That's what they're doing, to try and open the skies up to cause it to be sunny every day. But they're violating me with this specific painting I keep mentioning. But anyway, let's go back to this Lauren, shall we? So yeah, the CD at the time said, "Is anyone single?" Lauren caught onto it, and she smiled at me, and she was waiting as if she knew I wanted sex, and she knew it. At the time, I don't actually think she was in a sexual relationship. And she had really smooth skin, yeah, she was very sexy. I did fancy her, yeah, but the problem is, she turned against me because the Svenpret came in. It's the birth of the Svenpret. And obviously I was having people start on me at times with the old-fashioned threats, claiming I had Stephanie, all the rest of it, going back before that. So every time I was walking into her, it was happening where they were timing all these rough types of people, like they have in the past, to stop me getting anyone when I was living in Bridgewater or whatever. As soon as you pass a sexual person as single, they've either caused a whole fucking load of arguments, causing rough people in my direction to fuck up anything in the past as well, or saying that I have HIV when I don't. So they were doing that, and it was turning these people against me. Even at Burnham-on-Sea, it was very rare, but there were some people that just took to me. They just psychic to me or something like that, and they're like in their late teens, saying that they're single and they want to have a chat with me. Then they keep on timing these rough people past me, because they're the types of people that don't allow the age gaps. Caused a whole load of row, caused these people to turn against me or not speak to me, or have broken up a conversation or stuff like that. And that's what stopped me getting anyone. As this occurs, the crowd goes ha ha ha, and on most occasions was saying it's the fuck B-A-B, the bab. So B-A-B, or going ha ha ha, or just doing that, because obviously that would have been the main thing that was occurring at the time. Or Crow saying there's no one left, and saying you're going to go to the fire of hell. I mean, animals were saying this back then, big time. They're telling me that I'm going to hell, and saying that you're never having anyone and you're being sexually abused in your next life or whatever. But anyway, let's just go on to this Lauren. Anyway, this Lauren started to turn against me. Then it turns out she's in a sexual relationship with someone called Michael. Or she's managed to get in a relationship with someone called Michael. She then becomes a single mother with 2 kids, 2 ginger-haired kids. And when she sees me, it's gone from trying to ask her, knowing what I need, to putting me down as a sick bastard and saying I'm Savan. And that Michael, who I'm suspicious of as being her boyfriend, or whether they're together I do not know, and he was doing scaffolding work. He's shouting across, getting aggressive as anything, threatening to smash me to fucking pieces on that fucking floor, and getting really, really fucking violent about it. And obviously he's very big build, he's tough build, he's very muscular, so he would have been roughly mid-20s, maybe. He could have been as high as my age, I don't know. And again, Lauren looks younger than me, but there's a possibility. She's one of those types that is very soft skin, but where you can keep that sort of soft skin until you sort of reach my sort of age as I was back then. She could actually be as high as my age. I don't think she is, obviously, but it's possible that she could actually be as high age as, my age, but it definitely wouldn't be over that. Anyway, she's turned. I've seen her a couple of times, but it's very rare, and I've hardly ever seen her at all after the lockdown. That's the end of it. I don't think I've seen her at all. And during the lockdown period, when this Lauren started to turn, was when I was walking into Gemma Ferguson and seeing Gemma on a regular basis. And then I was seeing a lookalike to Gemma, This lookalike to Gemma is someone that's got some rougher skin than Gemma, but is younger than Gemma by a touch. But unfortunately she's a single mother of 3, where Gemma is slightly older, but she has smoother skin and a more sexual appearance than the other Gemma. I think they're both named Gemma. And obviously I left that note in the shop to ask if she wants to meet her for a coffee, because what happened was I moved to Thorn House and straight away things just kicked off, and I thought, I've just moved into a dump. Supposed to be a better place, and it's just turned out a piece of shit. I didn't report the problems, and in the early days I was being accused of the one that's being causing all the problems, or the theft of things going wrong, or whatever other people have been doing, and I wasn't very happy about it. Anyway, I left this message in a private letter to ask Gemma if she wants to meet up. I did actually show one of the staff workers. I'm not saying the name of the staff worker because I don't want to cause trouble, and she said there's nothing wrong with that, assuming you've actually spoken to her on the beach, or you've spoken to her before. I see nothing wrong with that. I don't see that being a problem. But it was. She phoned me up saying, who the fuck do you think you are, asking a 30-year-old fucking woman if she's single? You sick bastard. And you're fucking 40 or whatever it was, 39 and 40 whatever it was at the time. And she said, you sad bastard, you sick as fuck cunt. You're preying on a fucking woman just the age of 30 fucking years of age. I said, you just landed your whole fucking life in jeopardy. The people I got against me, got against you, so she said, you'll lose your fucking life. You just step your fucking foot right in it, you sick bastard. And basically saying I've lost my life. Believe it or not, Gemma, if I just supposing I was in a sexual relationship with Gemma, it'd be the same age gap as when my parents were together. So, you know, it's ridiculous. They don't allow the age gap today. And obviously, I just left it after that. She said she was going to phone the police as well, but she said no, I'm going to do it my way, I'm going to do it differently. I'm keeping the letter, but she said she's not going to phone the police, she's doing it her nasty way. It's probably the reason she said that is because the information on the letter's not steep enough for her to report it. Because obviously it wasn't an offensive letter. It's just like a friendly, just to get to know each other sort of letter. But I didn't realise she was that dry and sarcastic in the head, or that sinister or tempered. So some people don't take to this type. And obviously she's been to the Blake school, which is a very rough fucking school, which is what caused Elmwood School to cause our enemies at Elmwood School when I was just a child, and caused me to have to leave that school because a quarter of the school turned against me through lies. And most of those people were like happy hardcore lunatic ravers that were into like hard drugs or whatever at that time. And being the age I wasn't doing any of that. I wasn't even to happy hardcore music. I didn't even know what jungle music was. And I will say, not many people like jungle music. They don't mind the rave music that DJ Ratty played, the 93 and the 92 stuff, before the jungle came in. But when it comes to jungle, there's not many people that like my jungle sort of music. Not the deep stuff like the technological sounding stuff from 1993 to 95, you know, late 93 that is. There weren't many developed tracks. I mean, there are some rave tracks that I like, that I never used to like, that hit the borderlines of what my enemies used to listen to, but most of them might be hardcore or rave, not in the style that I listen to. Anyway, if I can stop going off the part I want to mention, which is about this painting, I want to mention more about it. So as I said, Lauren is one of the closest descriptions to this painting, but even with Lauren, she doesn't fully look like Lauren either, but it's one of the nearest descriptions that I can put to it. And another thing I can put to it is it comes from a magazine or comic or a children's magazine possibly, and it's a picture of Jesus Christ kissing and cuddling a very sexy looking Mary Magdalene, and she looks very similar to that, which is like a brownie colour picture, which is not easy to get on the internet anymore, but I have the picture of it and it is on YouTube. When it comes to Gemma Ferguson, this sexual sun curse, Gemma Ferguson doesn't look nothing like the person that's on this painting. So if you're looking to look for Gemma Ferguson's being the sexual sun curse, then obviously I'm not going to lie about it, you know. I'm just giving the description of what the painting looks like, and I'm giving the description truthfully. I'm not going to lie about it. So if you're wanting Gemma, and you're wanting it as a sexual sun curse, then you're not going to get Gemma, because Gemma doesn't look nothing like the picture of this sun-cursed painting. In the past, I've described this lady as being mixed between two faces, like Britney Spears and Kylie Minogue. Nacilla Black was a celebrity that did the programme Blind Date on television, but they took that programme off because women were moaning about the age gap between men, because obviously you'd have an 18-year-old or a 20-year-old or a 25-year-old woman, and back in the days when they had that on television, these young women wanted people in their 30s, 40s, 50s. Age wasn't a problem. But where modern women were moaning about people's age, saying, oh, she's in his 30s up, or he's in his 40s up, or whatever, there was a lot of criticism and a lot of people complaining, and eventually the programme had to come off of television. But going back in the days when it was on TV, people were going with all different age groups. People weren't moaning about the age. But like I said, this is why I can't get anyone, and this is why they fuck my life up. They're trying to change the minds of everybody's, you know, and with a sun curse painting, you know, if you've had sex in your life and you've had plenty of sex, then obviously you're not going to moan too much if you've got a sun curse and there's no girlfriend. But the problem is, God's hit it with the wrong person, big time, because when you're cursing someone with this painting and violating someone that's never had anyone before in their whole life, then that's fucking playing with fire, Christ. That's literally being nasty. That's being absolutely spiteful. That's playing with fire. So God wants to play with fire with me on sexuality, violating me with that specific painting. Anyway, this Cilla Black, so as I just said, she has the appearance of Britney Spears mixed with Kylie Minogue. Now, there again, even if you were to put those two together, I don't know what it would turn out like. But I'm just giving like a description how I see it, possibly. It's hard to describe, because for some people they might see it as going into another face altogether, which is different to what I'm seeing in my head. When it comes to Cilla Black, I don't like the look of Cilla Black at all. To me, she's negative attraction. But there are some bits like freckles, or this look in her eye, or the shape of her eye, or bits and pieces that come off her face that also go into that painting. But they've done the painting in a way where it was nothing to suggest Cilla Black at all. They designed it in a sexual way with a sexy looking lady. I'm not sure when the painting was made, so I don't know who's painted the painting, because I've lost the information. But what I do know, or what I can remember on that piece of paper before I lost it, is the first name's at least 5 letters long, and the surname of that person that painted that painting is also at least 5 letters long. But I cannot remember what it is because I lost a piece of paper. And obviously, when I went back there months later to look for that painting, to get the information again, they wouldn't tell me, because like I said earlier, I was being treated as being mistaken as Savenne, so it was like that. So so you've got out of people that I know or seen on the internet or whatever. So obviously you've got this Lauren, who can resemble this person on that painting, the one in Tesco's. You've got Amelia, which is that 7-year-old precious girl. Again, she's slightly out, more out than Lauren. So Lauren would look more like this person on that painting than Amelia. But there's features from that Amelia, that girl, as an adult, not as a child, because she's one of those sort of children that's got that sort of appearance where she's showing an adult appearance in the face, or if that's the right word to use, I don't know. It's got her features in there. Her facial features are in that painting, but they're not as strong as Lauren. When it comes to Gemma, there's nothing at all. When it comes to Amy Weston, there's nothing with Amy Weston either. When it comes to Stephanie Hill or Stephanie Gill, nothing at all, as good as nothing at all. You might just get a fraction of her appearance there if you're lucky, but no, basically no. Lisa Pike, who is someone I can't stand the look of, not my type, none of her features are in that picture of that painting. Sadie Dando, none of her pictures or anything like that's in that painting. When it comes to any of the Dandos, in fact, none of those facial pictures are in that painting. Even on the relative sides of that side of the family, it's quite a distinct sort of painting. You've got the Mary Magdalene that's kissing and cuddling Jesus, which is quite a good description, which would be about the same as the Lauren in Tesco's, because it literally looks very similar, if not identical. So obviously this painting, again, even though Lauren's the best description I can use for that suggestion, it doesn't fully cover that appearance either, but it's definitely at least 70% or around about 70% to how that person looks on that painting. As you can, well, obviously I'm not filming with my camera, but I've been doing this recording for some time now, bits and pieces. There still hasn't been a single cloud cover in the time I've been doing this recording. Alright. Hey, nice warm day.
Thank you very much. Nice and sunny.
Yeah, cheers, Anne. Right, I had to stop the recording there because obviously I wanted to let a person pass, and obviously it's a very polite person and friendly sort of person, so you know, I didn't want to sort of do any distractions or recordings while I'm passing, you know, polite friendly people. Obviously if it's someone who's rough or someone that gives me trouble or a bearded type person, then obviously that'd be a different matter. I'll just leave it on record. Right, so there's a black mixed with blue car. Right, so there's been some bird or crow sounds that are basically saying that you're being molested in your next life and being beaten to death, basically. Right, obviously the sounds have gone quiet, but there's a lot of bird tweeting that's coming out in a crop way. But again, it's being done when I'm not recording. Just to let you know, I forgot to mention this. There's a couple of things I forgot to mention, but they're not irrelevant things. The digital audio recorder that I'm using today is not going to play up because the one that I was using yesterday, or when I was having trouble with it, has actually finally broken. I've had to chuck it. The other thing is, I saw this is like a sexy lady, young obviously, because obviously I don't take to a granny, so obviously she's quite a bit younger than me. There's some graffiti that insults specific females, and symbolically it could insult this specific female that was walking past me. But I can tell you now, this specific female that's walking past me would turn any man on. Right, so just to remind you what I've actually done today is I've got a bus to the top of Yeovil to go down a specific estate to try something new, so it's still in Yeovil, but it's on the tail edge of Yeovil. What was happening, basically I was looking at places to go, and sort of went on Google Maps and I was just pissing about looking at, you know, sort of walks or whatever, just things to do or whatever, if there's any new exciting routes to do within the walking distance of Yeovil. And obviously that's what I did. Then I got on the bus to go back to the bus station initially, but there was flu on the bus, so I got off the bus, which I may have got off anyway. I mean, the place I got off at the bus was a place I was thinking of getting off anyway, so it would have made no difference if there was flu on the bus or not. But what I would have possibly done if there wasn't flu is the likelihood is I would have gone to the bus station and I would have got the next bus to go to the other part of Yeovil, or if I wasn't going to do that, I would have gone into the town, or I would have got the 81 bus to go to Stokes-upon-Hamden to do a little walk before I came back in the evening there. So what I've actually done is not really much out of place of what I was initially going to do anyway. So I was only on the bus for a total of about 3.5 minutes, if that. So I wasn't on the bus that long because obviously, You know, it's walkable. I could have walked to it, and I was a quarter of a mile just where I've been like just now from where I got on the bus earlier. So, you know, there's some nice walks down in the. To give you some idea of where I am, because there's a little signpost there that tells you. So you've got public footpath to Paviot's Mill, a public footpath to Foxholes, quarter of a mile, public bridle way Barrack, half a mile. It's facing the wrong way for Barrack, actually. I don't know why it's pointing that way, but then public footpath to Placket, and the Placket, that's the place I was at. So yeah, I went to Placket. Placket's like a little, they got like a little path there. That's where I saw the graffiti, incidentally. So it's like handwritten graffiti, and it's where I saw this sexual woman who's in her early 20s that could make a symbolical resemblance to the suggestion of the insulting wording of the graffiti that I saw. So yeah, quite surprised at that. But so if you insult someone, you can, you know, or whatever. I'm not sure who've done the graffiti because I haven't got a clue. But what I will say is, if anyone's being insulted, it can come back with you with surprises that are much more different than that. So, I mean, this was a good, sexy looking woman that'd turn any man on. But although that might be the case, she might be in her early 20s. This day and age, as I mentioned earlier, women are very fussy about age gaps. But there's nothing you can do about it, and they don't take into account circumstances. But anyway, I'll leave it there. This part of the walk I have actually walked before, but I've only walked it at night, so I've never actually walked this in the day. And I did one occasion where I walked this at dusk, but in sunlight like it is now, or whatever, the middle of the day, I've not actually done this walk at this time of the day before. Might be worth mentioning that that road, I've known there to be in the evenings, I've known there to be 45 minutes or 1 hour with no traffic, and where the traffic's only occurred on that road is only when I've been on that road. But there's one record breaking day, I think it goes back to November, which is the road I'm about to reach now. You had about 30 cars or something like that pissing about down a dead end area, and yet out of all the cars that were going down there, I don't know whether they're turning around, it goes to a dead end, but it's private property. That road is actually private property, and I was asked what am I doing down there. I actually filmed it, well, not filmed it, but I audio recorded it and put it on YouTube, so you had the sound evidence of what was occurring at the time. 30 cars, and yet there's not actually supposed to be any cars down there because it's private area, which is a restricted path where you're only allowed to walk one section of the road. At the time I didn't know that, and I was walking down the other way, and the reason I was walking the other way is because the amount of traffic that was on there, and they timed over 100 cars on the other part of the road, which is the road I should be entering shortly, when there's been an hour of no traffic at all on that road. As you can hear, that road's getting traffic now. There's just been a Tesco van, typical that is, because it's been a sunny day. Where's Lauren, you know? When I say where's Lauren, I'm not asking for Lauren who's working at Tesco's or anything like that. I'm asking for the woman that's on the cursed painting. God, or whatever's cursing me is telling me that you're being cursed with sex from a lookalike to that person that's on the painting that you're cursed with. But that person's not coming my way, and that person's not come out of the sky, that person's not coming in my direction, so how the fuck is it going to happen? If you want to work on, that's being if you want to work in the way of whatever. I mean, let's put it this way, for most people, they work in order to suggestion of who they are and what their life brings out and what life brings to them. With me, say my name is Justin and I want to meet up with someone called Justin who's a girl that's got the same name with me to make a good sexual relationship. You're being thrown off course, or you're being violated, you're being twisted to go in the wrong direction, or this and that. With other people, they follow the instructions of themselves or the suggestions of the way they are to go in the pattern of how it should go. But every time I go in the pattern the way it should go, I'm being thrown off or violated or being chucked in the other direction, or everything's being screwed up. That's what I'm trying to say. So many people do this, you know. So they make a suggestion of something, or they do a suggestion, but they apply the suggestion of the correct route, or what they are suggesting. When it comes to me, I'm being violated, twisted, bent backwards, put in the other direction, and thrown off course, or put in a direction which violates me completely, or violates the proper suggestion, or the right route. That's what I'm trying to say. Everything's all thrown off course, 24/7, not just one day or 2 days, every single day. Right, so obviously I'm on that road where I've known there's been no cars for an hour, and obviously I don't know what it's 4 o'clock in the evening, I think, something like that, or just before that. Let me just have a look on my phone just to confirm it. 3:54. Or just, my phone's a few minutes fast, it's just a bit before that. I've got some people coming down as well. There's been 3 vehicles in a Tesco van, which is not many, but we've got to take into account there have been hour gaps where there's been no vehicles, and the fact that most of this is timed when I approach a road or on the road, and it's every time. So probably just a normal amount, but worth mentioning. Octopus Energy van, black and blue car, red knife shaped car, and a black car my way. No, yeah, you've got to consider if there's only an hour, yeah, they might be stepping it, doing it on purpose again. Right, black and fucking blue, just write this down a minute. Black and fucking blue. Blue timed. Red knife shape timed. I know this is ridiculous, but that's what they need to do. Black my way. Rough army looking vehicle. Right, I'll stop the recording a second. For this actual time, for this road, I don't think it's anything out of out of the ordinary, but you've got to take into account even this time of the day, or at this time of the day, you can have 45 minutes or an hour gap where there's no vehicles on this road, and it's only being timed when I'm on the road. And that's what you've got to look at. So it's hard to say. I've not been down here that frequent to monitor the exact times of why it's being caused, only when I am on the road. But there's cars also on the Barrack Road, which is not that frequent. It shouldn't be that. Black and blue, that's right. Red and grey, white. Yeah, we need to make a killing, rent a kill Downing Street. Yeah, or unless the creator's fallen, rent a kill, black, grey, white. Black and fucking blue XL lorry. Private hire of a car. Gonna jog across there. Red Sexual, yellow River Mead. Hang on a second, choked by catalyst. Second car on the Barrack stretch. I'm not sure what the record breaking number is for this little bit of road. It's definitely under 10, I know that. But I've known it to be busy at night. So we've had 3 now. The ducks come this way, 2. No, that lorry's going the other way, so we won't go down there anyway. It's not suitable for lorries unless you've got drivers like my dad, of course, who can get through places like that. 2 cars at the moment. Right, so you've had 4 on this stretch now. Right, so as always, on the corner. Yeah, because they're trying to hit me off, they're trying to destroy me, rip me to pieces, do everything they fucking can to cause as much fucking trouble. So that's, I think it's the 5th car. The record breaking number is under 10 for this road. Not much under, I can tell you that. It's definitely under the number 10. I'm not sure if it's 8, 9, 7 or what it is. And it's definitely more than 5. This is late in the evening as well. Your average amount that should occur, or your average amount that occurs when I do one direction on this walk, is 3 maximum. For this section anyway. The last time I came down there was actually in the evening, and it was in December, I think, of 2024, because I've not actually been to Barrack apart from one time to meet up with a support worker and social worker, whatever it was, at the beginning of January time. Take that away, I've not actually been to Barrack because I've been doing other things, photographs, having hangovers, just not had any pride or joy to be bothered to walk up here for some reason. I think, I'm not sure if it's the time I was discussing the clairvoyant reading, and I will go into that quickly. I've stopped having clairvoyant readings because completely I have stopped having clairvoyant readings. There's just one to fall through at the moment, and this is the one I'm going to mention now. I've had many clairvoyant readings in my life. The one of the earliest ones was applying I was going to get in a sexual relationship with Stephanie. The time I had that reading, I was getting threats because of this Stephanie, with stuff being made up against me, and also it was in the time period when she had her boyfriend, so it would have been too late anyway. Obviously she's not really my type, but when you consider the types of people that I'm being told to go with, or the types of people are dictating me to go with, or telling me that then in some ways Stephanie is good enough. When you consider today, if you work it on today's principle. But going back, say a few years ago, I was a bit more fussy and I was struggling to fancy even the smooth type, because I prefer to have a really sexual type. But you take into account I was younger as well. But as I say, I'm more adaptable to taking to slightly more negative attraction, meaning that I would be able to fancy Stephanie a little bit. But the problem is, we've reached a time where it's too late for that, because Stephanie actually has grey hair now, and in the last 3 years she's developed that rough skin look, which is like a skin you get when you're in your 40s, but she's got it slightly early. It'll go back just 5 years ago, her skin was actually still smooth, to a point where you could fancy that sort. But obviously I have spoken to her. I spoke to her in a charity shop saying alright, because at the time she told me to sanitise my hands and whatever, and she doesn't actually remember me from school days. I have spoken to her, and she's sort of kind of said alright here and there, but I've sort of kept myself to myself instead of speaking to her, because of all the allegations and rubbish that has been made up about me regarding this person. So I've sort of kept myself to myself, and that's what it's been like since 2000 and whatever, the early 2000s. So just to keep myself out of trouble and from enemies giving me hassle or whatever, because of that situation. Obviously she's never sort of acknowledged me in recent times or anything like that. She's never been bothered by me. She's seen me, but it's only when I sort of spoke in the charity shop that she seems to be a bit more sort of she's alright, but she sort of keeps herself to herself, if you know what I mean. I don't want to get too much involved, but obviously, there's so much stuff that people have made up, claiming this and claiming that about me and her when it comes to sexuality, that I don't want to get in too much of friendship, because it could cause trouble. And the fact that she's with someone anyway, it's pointless, it'd be pointless anyway. So, that's that. Right, anyway, let's get back to the clairvoyant reading. I think it's through, obviously. So, in trying to think back on these readings a minute. Chloe's been predicted. There's a couple I made up for a laugh, or because I was in a shit at that time. So there's a couple of names that are not true that I made up, mostly because I was in a shit. I later admitted that I made those clairvoyant readings up, but there's also a whole lot of genuine readings that aren't made up, which have serious information and been predicted very serious partners or girlfriends. Chloe's one of them, which has not come true. One of them was actually Chloe from North Petherton, and I knew exactly who she was on about. So she would have been 18, and believe it or not, she's had sex with people older than I am at this minute in time, when she was 18. But going back in that time period, as I said many times before, I'll give you the name, in fact, of who she's shagged. If I can remember it, that is. What's his name? Oh, fucking hell, I've forgotten now. It was one of the neighbours. He's a very laughable neighbour, a single chap in his 50s. She was 18 and she's fucked him. I'll come back to the name. I know what his name is, it's just not on the top of my head. But he's very boastful, he's very laughable, he's very jokeable. And he's a sort of rough, but he's not rough in the way as like a rough type person. Rough as in like the way he dresses, or sort of like this sort of clothing. I know what his name is, I'm trying to fucking think what it is. I'll give it you in a minute if I can remember. If I can, that is. Yeah, she was, as soon as she was 18 or just a bit under 18, she shagged him, but you know, it wasn't seen as a problem back in the year 2003 or whenever it was, a bit before that. But you know, you can't, you know, it's just the way it is. And that person's name's Len. Just remembered it. Anyway, what good is that going to do for me? Because she's married, she's a single mother, and whatever. If I was 43 coming up 44 back in the year 2000, and not today, I could probably get an 18-year-old just like that. But, you know, people change today, that's the problem. It's making it a lot more difficult. There's a possibility that some of these psychics that have predicted these girlfriends were actually supposed to have been right, and it's because they've been brainwashed because of age gaps, or because they don't like people with mental health disabilities or whatever, that's turned these females against me. And probably the people in the spirit realm have not come to the conclusion that these people are being extremely fussy or moany. So, you know, it could have been true. One of the recent readings that I was reading up on was, I can't remember what the name is that she gave, but I think she said I was going to get a woman that dyes her hair red. It was Sue Hudd that gave me the reading at the Secret World Healing Weekend, and she was adamant I was going to get in a relationship with whoever that name was. Again, that was 2013. Never came true. But the build-up, this is the problem, the build-up of these readings are spot on. As soon as the girlfriend part collapses, the reading falls apart and it turns negative against you. And because that's occurring, I mean, and there's been no sufficient evidence of anything at all coming into your life to confirm that you're going to get anyone that's genuine, is making you wonder whether the demonic entities know that you're not going to get anyone, and it takes a negative turn after the girlfriend predictions fail. And that is why I'm not going to be seeing clairvoyance anymore. So Helen and Heather was another one I was predicted. I can't remember where I had the reading. I did have it on YouTube once. I can't, so it's still on there. I can have a look, and it'll be on the closed account, but it's one it's closed, it's locked. There's one I can't sign into anymore. It's the account I was telling you about earlier on, because I was uploading sunny day pictures when it's supposed to be cloudy. And obviously the account's still there, the videos are still there, but I just can't sign in because I blocked it. So it's on that channel. I remember Helen and Heather being predicted. Again, didn't come true. And then there's Gemma as well that was predicted. Whether they're referring to Gemma Ferguson or whether they were yeah, that was predicted as well. So they probably didn't, the spirits and the spirit world probably didn't realise that Gemma's fussy about age gaps, or doesn't like people that she doesn't know fully, that's known her properly, not just by speaking in the street or on the beach or whatever. She's probably one of those where you've got to go to a nightclub and speak properly, or get to know her rough mates or whatever before she's the type that will accept friendship. It's probably like that. And obviously you've got age gap issues, as I mentioned. Well, the spirits that were giving the clairvoyant that information probably didn't think of that. They probably didn't realise. But you know, there's not much you can do about it. I mean, there's many readings I've had, and there's a few false readings that I included in this, but I'm only going to, but most of them are actually genuine readings. The false ones are ones I've done when I've been in a real shitty mood. I've admitted which ones are the false ones, and those false ones I've done documentaries on to tell you which ones they are. Anyway, let's get with the true ones that have occurred just before I moved to Thorn House. Right, so I had a clairvoyant phone reading. I can't remember who it was. I can't remember the name that was predicted either. I think it was Rebecca, the name of the person, but was predicting that this person can work out that you've had a bad life. So that was back then, before my life got worse. And even before then, 10 years before that, 15 years before that, my life was shit as well. But anyway, let's just go by what the reading was from that clairvoyant. So this Rebecca was supposed to come into my life in a time period, I think she said just before I moved to Thorn House, or in the time period I moved to Thorn House. Rebecca, there's no such thing. The name, the word, nothing. There is no such thing. No, nothing at all. No one under that name. So that's just one thing. And when I moved, they said that this partner, Rebecca, is going to be the change of your life completely. They say you're going to come with your intellectual sort of. But again, the clairvoyant didn't pick up on me being mistaken as Sven or Liam or whatever. And so when the reading was sort of given, they thought it was going to be clean, you know, when I moved to that place. And how do I know? With all the sort of setups and control force around me, with buckled movement control forcing me down one street to go back down another street, with heavy action, how do I know that I didn't fuck up what was supposed to come into my life of this name Rebecca? Because there's nobody at all under the name Rebecca. No one. Apart from a haunted doll, maybe, that has that name. Nobody at all. I have spoken to Michael Cornwell, he's spoken to Rebecca Johnson, but this Rebecca is nothing to do with me. This is only because he's a school friend that contacted me from many years ago and knew Rebecca. I know her a little bit, I don't know her that well. She's been in relationships, and obviously she's not my type. And obviously she's in a sexual relationship as it stands today, and according to Michael, she was in a sexual relationship at the time the reading was given. So obviously, and she doesn't know me anyway, so she's not going to contact me. And she made remarks back in the time when she was slightly more sexier, where I could kind of fancy her to some extent, but not great. And she just doesn't like me, she never has. She sort of mouthed me off in the street, you know, passing me, because she used to be friends with neighbours in Bridgewater who didn't like me, and obviously they were giving me trouble, and it's, you know, and obviously they're on that side, so it's like that basically. Anyway, what was supposed to happen according to this reading is my music style was supposed to change. She was saying that when I get with this Rebecca, that my music's not going to be jungle anymore. She said, you're going to leave that aside. And she thinks that all this moody, dark ambient that I recently got into back at that time, because I wasn't listening to much jungle actually back then, I was going into dark ambient. She thought I was just going to go into the stuff that this girlfriend was listening to. And she made it sound like it's going to be pop music or stuff like that. You know, or, you know, that suggestion, I can't remember what she said now. And also she said that when I was going to move to Thorn House, she said she wasn't going to be there that long. She says, because you're going to have this girlfriend, 6 months when you're there, where my life actually worsened, got nastier when I was there. She thought that I was only going to be there for 6 months or a year, and she thought I was going to be transferring again. That's fallen through. But if we go to this when I first moved there, they did say that initially so you're only supposed to stay there for 1 year and then you have to move on. Then it went to 2 years, and then they went to license agreement to full tenancy agreement. I haven't signed that full tenancy agreement because I'm not happy about staying there. I've been there 4 years, and I should be there a maximum of 2 years. But if we go through this clairvoyant reading, I should be in a relationship and even move from that place. When it comes to the rest of the reading, I can't remember what it is, because the reading is a long time ago, because this is a phone call reading. I had this reading, I was in the air raid shelter at Barrow when I was having this reading, and I knew I was moving to Thornhouse at the time I had the reading, but it was a couple of months before I actually moved there or saw the place or even knew where it was in Yeovil. And it turned out to be a negative straight away when I moved there. I never reported any problems or anything like that, because I thought it's going to sound good, innit, if I report problems and they just put it down as schizophrenia and think, well, you move from one place and problems happening there, sort of things. I thought, I'm just going to keep quiet about this and just put up with the noise. And then they started reporting me of doing all the noise and that, because the staff were unaware of what was going on. And I was getting a bollocking from the social worker and the police for things that I haven't done. Because the staff didn't realise, you see. At the time, they didn't realise that there's other people in the building, like Jake, Reese, Matty, or whatever, that were sort of, making noise or whatever they were doing. I don't know what they were doing, because, I tried to keep myself to myself. But, it got worse and worse on mine. It got really bad. I do remember when it calmed down. It went into a couple of stages. So you had Shannon that moved in, and that was the first stage of when it calmed down, and then it dropped again. It went to a calmer stage again when Peter moved in. Obviously I'm not going to give their surnames because it wouldn't be the right thing to do, but if I just sort of give their first names, it's just because obviously there are hundreds and millions of names of that specific name or whatever, so without their permission I'm not going to be able to give the surnames, I'm afraid. So for their respect, really, it would be disrespectful as well to give their surnames without their consent. So I'm not going to mention that, or mention anything else about them, because there's nothing to mention about them. Not when it comes to this sort of subject that I'm on about now. It's not necessary. Anyway, when I moved to Thornhouse, I had another clairvoyant reading. This goes back to the very first. It was September 2022, and they said that by September 2023 I'm going to be moved, but she made it sound like you're going to get into communication with a girlfriend or somebody that's a lady, but they made it sound like that this lady is going to be someone that's going to get into a sexual relationship with you, who's going to be moving with you at the end. In 12 months from when I had the reading, saying that I'm going to be moved, and the clairvoyant told me that when you do move, that you'll be moving together. And she said if you move on your own, she senses that trouble could kick off again, but if you move in with this female, which she is saying is a girlfriend, there's going to be a girlfriend, then obviously your life's going to change and it's going to get better, and you're going to make friends with all the neighbours where you move to, and the neighbours are going to find out what your name is, who you are. They're not going to be that social, obviously, but they're going to know who you are, and things are going to turn out fine. So again, I can't remember much of the reading, because again it goes back a few years, and it's difficult to remember what the readings are. I don't know if she gave a name of this person. If she did, I can't remember what the name is. So she predicted that things were going to change. She said the weather's not always on my side, but she predicted that move, and she predicted things were going to get worse before that move took place. Well, actually, in some ways yes, some ways no. She was right, because obviously things had never been good. But 2023 was actually the calmest year out of all the years in recent years. It wasn't until the end of September 2023, which is the time period she predicted I was going to be moved by, was where things started to kick off. And then it was the beginning of the burning from energy weapons when we hit the year of 2024. Which I should have been moved before that occurred. But nope, I'm still there, and I'm still there at the moment. So, via that, when it came to 2020, there was a couple of readings I had later in 2023 to the one that I just mentioned, and these were on eBay, and they kept refunding me, saying that they need to give me a reading when there's some better news that they can predict, because they can't predict any good news for me. So all of 2024 hardly had any readings, because they were refunding me, or telling me they're not going to give me readings because they feel that it's not a good time to give readings, and they want to give me readings when things are a bit more better, and they can give me a better, happier reading than a negative reading, basically. So I went to Glastonbury to try and get readings there. I had the same problem there. So all in all, there was just a couple of readings I had in 2024 which were irrelevant information, anything for trying to sort of change your life at home. There's going to be no change, there's no good news, no girlfriend, no partners, no move, you know. So you're thinking to yourself, well, if the readings are like that, it's pointless having the readings. So I just sort of had a couple here and there. Eventually the time came where I had another proper reading, where it gave a bit more in-depth and a bit more of a psychic prediction than the negative, suppressing information that they've been giving on previous readings of 2024, because 2024 was a really low year. It's the lowest year and the lowest state I've been in since I lived in Yeovil. One, because I'm ageing, and the fact that people don't accept the age gap, and you've not had sex all your life apart from being raped as a child, to life getting worse and health issues and just feeling down in the dumps because it's sunny every fucking day like it is today. So anyway, the latest reading where there's a bit more active, positive news to some extent, I think it was in November or December 2024. So what they predicted is just before Christmas, because I remember doing this reading a couple of times, and as being cursed with his son on the day I had the reading. When I came out from the reading, where I had this reading to, do you know what they did with the setups? Firstly, they wanted to make it clear with the organised force that's controlled around me, to say you're not having sex and telling me to basically time in a look like someone who sexually abused me as a child, tying to an erection, and then timing over hanging trailers to rip my legs off, with wording on vehicles like smash you to pieces, ripping you to pieces, see you next life, trash cowboy, take your life apart in every life, and just getting really, really aggressive and really, really nasty with the control force around me. That is when I walked straight out of I had the reading, had the psychic reading, the tarot cards and whatever, and straight away as I walked out, and I mean this is straight away, so say like an ear-shattering loud bite to an erection to start with, then overhanging trailer time to rip my legs off, then you had wording on vehicles to say smash you to pieces, rip your life to pieces, knife down, timing overhanging trailers to rip my legs off, and making the suggestion, we have the reading for you, you don't need a clairvoyant reading, we'll make the reading for you, and we'll be nasty about it. So they're doing that basically, and it was very heavy setups. In actual fact, I could not give the details of the reading or do a documentary of the clairvoyant reading on that specific time period. I had to get on the bus, I had to go somewhere else, and I had to document all the problems that was occurring, and even when I went to that other place to do the documentary, they were causing every possible movement around me to be in a nasty, malicious control pattern constantly. So what happened was, eventually, is I did the reading, but I redid it properly the following day, and even on the following day I was undergoing this treatment of force around me, which is negative, malicious, and they're just belting it and causing as much misery and as much havoc and as much trouble as they could possibly put around me, and they threw me off. Also, on a couple of days after this, I wanted to do something, they threw me off. They literally put me in the other direction, And I thought to myself, is this to mess up the clairvoyant prediction, to put me off route, or to change my direction, or to mess up the possibility of this girlfriend called Julia coming into my life? I'm not exactly sure who this woman is. No age was given. The clairvoyant didn't give any age. Anyway, let's get with the reading of what she gave before I was being terrorised by all this force. Obviously, this reading's through. There's a possibility that the government or the creator God, depending on who's causing this force against me, has put this through. If it was a genuine reading, it's just literally spiteful. And then you've got to take into account that since the middle of November 2024, every single day except for today and a couple of other days and one weekend day and one day I was ill and didn't go, and when I went out in the evening with one of the neighbours, take those couple of days out of the equation, and the 16th of January, every other day they caused it to be as heavy and as packed as they can possibly cause everyone's movement to be controlled around me, heavier than it's ever been before. So it's not just causing problems. This is not like for timing loud bikes to erections or causing people to sneeze in my face. This is just for causing massive amounts of people to construct or control everyone's movement, to be around me in a mass number, to cause as much movement around me as they can possibly control, like causing everyone to come out of the house at the same time, but only at times where I'm there, out of every roadway, every corner, causing cars to cut me up on the turn-in as I go to cross, trying to just control everyone's movement to be around me, to force all this movement to be busy as around me, which is causing many problems, many people to photograph me, to cause many threats, many shit stirring. People are waking up to this now, even the nasty people that are giving me threats, and this is why a lot of people are leaving me alone at this minute in time. Not all of them, obviously, because 90% of people are just downright scum, nasty people, but there are some people, even in the rough types of people, that are realising that what is going on and realising it's only busy where I am, and they're starting to see it for themselves, and that's what's sort of making the situation slightly less nasty, though you've got to take into account most people don't see that, so it doesn't always work. But anyway, let me get with that reading, because obviously there's a roundabout time, actually, come to think of it, that's when they stepped up all this action, in the time period I had that reading, because that was in the distant November, December, I can't remember what month it is, but it's definitely in the time period when they started doing this. Right, so that's a grey car with a light on, so that's the start of the reading. No, it's not, that's just a car on the road. Right, so let me think what she said. She said that this Julia would, this is interesting because it makes you wonder whether it can be put through or not put through, because she made it sound like this Julia is going to be somebody that's going to be behind the scenes, that's going to realise what's going on, but it's not, that's basically going to come to you. It's like she's there ready, the way the clairvoyant put it. So she's aware of the situation you're in, and she's seeing what's going on, and she's going to come into your life, basically. And the clairvoyant didn't give any age of what she was. She wasn't a single mother, which is good news to know that. She didn't word it like that, she was being a bit more polite about it. She said she's free, and she'll be your first, you know, and it'll be her first, you know, where she feels comfortable with a man for her first, you know. She worded it like that, I can't remember what the wording was. Her name's Julia, and she said she's going to be the sort of, I don't know whether she said soft body that you've really been waiting for all your life, or what she said. I cannot remember what the clairvoyant said now, even though it's only a couple of months ago. You know, when I'm being tortured with all this action, set-ups and control force, there's a lot of stuff that I'm sort of forgetting, even when I'm having the readings, because you're sort of being dumbed down by all this heavy action that's being set up around you. This makes things difficult to remember. But she basically said that there's going to be someone that you definitely fancy, someone that's going to be happy with you. And she also said that you're going to be moving, but she said you're not going to just be moving a couple of miles up the road. She said you're going to be moving like 100 miles away from where you are now. And she said that's going to cause a lot of the issues, or a lot of the trouble, to calm down. And you're saying that your life's going to get much better. So she said it's not going to be perfect, this reading's probably through, but you know, I just want to mention it anyway. Well, it is through because we're in February, but some readings can be slightly out even if it's not. But whoever this Julia was, she was supposed to know me before Christmas, or there should be starting stages where she knows me before Christmas. That's not come true. In actual fact, there's been no sign of a Julia on the internet, or no sign of a Julia through authority even, and no such thing as a Julia as speaking to in the streets or on public transport or anything. So whoever this was has been removed from me getting to know. But you've got to take into account that just a couple of days after I had the reading, I went to go on the bus and they forced me back off the bus and forced me back home, controlling my movement with malicious control force against me, heavy as anything. So did that mistake that the government made fuck this up? Or did the Creator God fuck it up? It's just a possibility, but whatever happened, whatever's messed this up, if it is a genuine reading and not spirits lying from the other side, then they've messed it up and this woman's not come into my life. But what makes this one more interesting than other readings is this person was supposed to get to know me, or it's been lurking in the background. That's what makes this more interesting when it comes to psychic readings. So basically she was saying that this woman is going to be there in the background watching over you, and then she's going to cling on and basically grab you out of the shit that you're in. That's what they were applying, or she was applying with the reading that she gave. Something else that she said, which is something I've been doing already, so she is right with this. She said keep your stuff packed, or if you've got your stuff, essentials that you don't need to use, keep them packed, be prepared to move, because things are going to get worse. And that's another thing she's right about. She said things are going to get worse. She's right about that. The one thing she's wrong about is she said that by February this year you're going to be together, or you're going to be either sleeping together or visiting each other, or staying a night here, staying a night there, wherever it is, with this lady. And then obviously before the summer she said you're both going to be moved from where I am now. So this reading that she gave seems to be fact with fiction mixed together. But at the same time you've got to take into account, how do we know that the government or the Creator God hasn't killed this woman in a car accident, or they control force around this person to get her attacked, or to get her knifed, or gave her a heart attack or something like that? Because the government have the power to do this, and so does the Creator God. That's just a possibility, and that could be one reason why she's not in my life. The other reason is the government could have derailed it, or the Creator could have derailed it with all this increased action that's being set up and force control that's around me. And the other thing that could have messed it up is quite simply the spirits are lying, and they're demons that are talking to these clairvoyants, giving false information. Or simply I could be lying, but unfortunately on this reading I'm not lying, so there's got to be the other three. Because obviously I have made up readings, but those readings that I made up were because I was in the mood going back along. I've not made up any readings. I don't think I've actually made up any readings since I've moved to Yeovil. All the ones I made up were because I was stressed out, or because I was desperate for a woman and not getting anyone. Which was going back to when I was living at Burnham-on-Sea, and I was getting bored and was thinking of something to do. I admitted to it, obviously. I admit that I did some fake readings, but there's a whole lot of true ones. That's the problem, and there's those true ones that have fallen through, which are very serious as well. That's what I mean. So right, so that's the latest reading. So Julia is the name. Moving 100 miles away, or she made it sound like it's going to be. Again, she didn't meet in Christmas period. Said by Christmas that you're going to know her, and then you can start visiting, or she's going to start staying at your place, or you're going to stay visiting hers, or things are going to take progression in February. But again, you know, it's all through, or it's all nonsense. And obviously that's the last reading I've had from a clairvoyant, because clairvoyants are getting everything wrong, and I'm getting suspicious that they're speaking to demons. So my mum had clairvoyant reading a couple of years ago, and the clairvoyant said that she's going to live to a high age and she's going to be quite healthy, and obviously she got cancer. So that's another thing that threw me off the readings. So obviously I've stopped having these readings. That was the last reading I had. Obviously I knew about the reading prior to that, when my mum wasn't well and all the rest of it, but that final reading's made me wake up, you know, the Julia reading, because what I was told is all nonsense. The thing is, what's happening is I'm being predicted to girlfriends. So there's a build up where things are calm for a time period, where things seem like they're getting better. And soon as the spirits are lying to the clairvoyance at the girlfriend part, instead of things getting better with a girlfriend or anything like that, your life's going in the opposite direction, getting worse, and it just suddenly drops. And I mean, it drops nastily. So you've got to think that the spirits are causing this, the demons. But then again, I went to go to church back in 2021, so I was not seeing clairvoyance, and I was becoming more spiritual, even though I was having clairvoyance occasionally and having off days where where religious things were turning against me. But even going to church or whatever, praying to God, things get worse. So I'm wondering whether the Spirit of Christ and Jehovah's evil. And just recently, last week I think it was, the name Jehovah was coming up to me. I was causing all sorts of dangerous situations in dreams. So I was like behind closed doors in locked toilets, in locked, closed, dark areas, and I had like this evil force, and it's showing me the name Jehovah, and I was being tormented, threatened in dark places with no one around, and it's a very scary nightmare. And I had a couple of nightmares with the same thing, same name, in the same evening. And then obviously in dream, later on a dream, I was told that I need to get off a train and you're banned from using train services. When I was trying to get onto trains to get to places, and when I did get off trains, I ended up getting my keys cut for some reason, which is only a dream, but it's the same dream as a Jehovah dream. And then obviously a couple of nights later, I have a dream of Jesus Christ telling me that you're not going to have sex, and Jesus is telling me that I'm married to someone that sexually abused me as a child, and that you're going to have to stay with that person that sexually abused me as a child, because Jesus was telling me I don't fancy the aged, or don't fancy an old granny, or don't fancy someone that's extremely stale and very used, that's a single mother. And I'm thinking to myself, well, if that's the way God's going to treat you, then fuck it. Shove his fucking religion up his fucking ass, because I don't want to know. So obviously, I haven't been religious for some time, and when I go to these religious places and been praying, tying to an erection while you're praying, I see you'll go ha 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 as a loud bike occurs, or tells you to fuck someone that raped you as a child. As an erection occurs, or telling you you're being ripped to pieces in your next life. That's what happens when you sing in church or pray to Jesus in church. And while walking to the church, or coming back and going forward to the church, especially when I moved to Yeovil, I was getting threats and being started on big time, threatening to smash out, and seagulls going ha ha as it happens. And seagulls are telling these people that I need to be smashed out, giving my passport numbers or bank card details, or saying that you're going to the fire of hell, being ripped to pieces, or Jesus has turned. And telling me to sex people that raped me as a child, and saying there's nothing left, and saying Jesus has turned against you, saying it's pointless going to the church. And it turns out true. And even these people that have rapture dreams, there's some ladies that are like, you know, legal age just about, so like 18, you think to yourself, are they single? No, they're not, they're single mothers, and then they treat you as a sick bastard, or hold a baby up and laugh at you, or do a stupid laugh in your face with profile pictures, and yet they're Christians, and they're people are going to heaven, and where Jesus has promised them heaven in visions and visitations, and you're thinking to yourself, well, I'm sort of looking, I'm not, if heaven exists, and I'm the one that's I better be out of the way of fucking heaven, because all the people that Jesus is, people in heaven are just like pieces of shit to me. So, I mean, there's one recent one, this one never caused any trouble, but she is only a child, and I've not really messaged or anything like that, because obviously it wouldn't be the right thing to do. So she's 11 or 12 now. Her name's Amelia. She had a rapture dream one of the earliest rapture dreams I've seen on the internet when I was staying at my nan's. That's how I got into it, because I was watching out body experience videos, and YouTube were leading me to this, and I was watching those Jesus visitation videos. So Mania was one of the earliest ones, and Alice was another one from the Burns Club, or some chap in America that's religious. I can't bloody remember his name. Then you had I think it's Mania, the code name they go for this lady had a 7-year-old daughter that's an artist or something. And then you had that Amelia. So Amelia was one of the early ones. So let's stick with the one with Amelia, because that's basically one where I never had trouble, never had issues with. She's known as 7-year-old precious girl, rapture dream, Jesus Christ vision, or whatever it's titled as. Lake Spire or something videos. It's uploaded by her, but they also had another channel, but her proper channel's gone for some reason. So I don't know much about her, because obviously I've not gone into details or watched. What I do know is she was telling this Jesus story. She looks very similar to Britney Spears, but a younger version of her. Although she's only a child, she is actually in a sexual relationship with a boyfriend, which means soon as she hits the age of 18 she's going to be a single mother. So if there was anybody that was God's people, that it's going to be too late anyway, even because everyone's a single mother. God doesn't take that into account either. I just need to write down the bike issue in a minute. So that one is basically the only sane video, or the one where I consider to be where I haven't had trouble, or suggestions made from possible likes that I clicked on my YouTube channel on those videos, where others have sort of give that negative response, or made another video that's negative or something like that. I mean, it's going to mean nothing, obviously. But what's interesting about that, also that Amelia one, is the church I went into yesterday and the week before. They had some books on the shelf, second-hand books that they had in the church. But the thing is a bit of a unfortunate suggestion, because obviously it can't come true because of my age. Either I'm too old or she's too young. It's like that. And obviously she's in a relationship anyway, because these people seem to be in relationships when they're children. But it's what's suggested. The thing is, God has not taken this all into account. God's made mistakes before mapping out all this suggestion to come into my life, or to be suggested to me in my life. And it's come too late, and it's too little too late. Well, I forgot to photograph the books in the church, because I was concentrating on documenting them, both last time I went, which was yesterday, the day before, whatever day it was, and the other yesterday, and the other one was last week. Well, one of the books in that church that was for sale said Sex with Amelia, but it's the Amelia that's spelled Amelia, A-M-E-L-I-A, rather than I-L-L-A, because I didn't know until the other day that there is the same name, just a different pronounced way. I thought it was Amelia and not Amelia, but either way, that's what it was. And the other thing was, I can't remember the exact title of the books. This is already on YouTube. I did actually state it on the day, but I can't remember the name of the book. And obviously when I went there yesterday, I didn't bother going through all the books, because I already stated it and it's already on YouTube from the week before. So I can't remember the actual names of the books, but basically had The Gift of God's Love or something like that, or The Gift of Sex, or something like that. And then you had like that Sex with where the one, it's actually pronounced Aimlia, so you could work it as that name, which would be a different name to the suggestion of the Rapture Dream Girl, but it's spelt the way of Aimlia, even though it says Amelia. This is not possible, you know, at my age for these suggestions. God's messed up somewhere. I don't know why this suggestion's being... I will be going back there, but I've got a few things that are going to occur, so it'll be 2 weeks before I go back there. And when I do go back there, I will get that evidence, and I will get that evidence concrete, and I will provide that evidence, and I will put it on Facebook on public settings. I will get that evidence. I just need to get that time to get there, and I need to do it on a cloudy day because I'm going to retake that picture. And also the other thing I want to photograph is that spray paint, and I believe that spray paint was there in the 1990s, because I don't know how they got up there, because this was under the bridge. It's like a dry part under the bridge. It's like folded under, so it's like trapped from the sort of breeze. There's sort of like there must have been something that they used to climb back in the 90s, these youngsters, when they were doing it. I know this graffiti is at least 20 years old, and the reason I know this graffiti is at least 20 years old, possibly 30 years old, is because you don't get youngsters spray painting this information anymore. Obviously you can see that the paint's old and it's faded, and you know that you know, it's been there for a long time. So basically what it says is that I can't remember what the wording is. It's also the way that is 90s accent as well. It's rough, you know, it's sort of rough, but it's a different accent. It's a sort of way people used to speak, but it's not dry and sarcastic. It's common. It says basically teenagers asking men if they're men in their 30s and 40s for free sex, basically saying that they want sex and that they don't have a problem with it. Nowadays, they wouldn't allow that at all. Not at all. They would have you down as a sicko or tell you to up the age. We're in a different time. But when that graffiti was written, people were much different. Back in the 90s, it was a lot different. But unfortunately, back when I was younger, I wasn't lucky to ever find anyone, because I never knew anyone that was single, and I couldn't get into groups because I was unfortunate and had all rough people rigged up around me. And that's what it's been like all my life. So I've been too unlucky to actually get anyone. And even the people in my age group, going back 25 years ago, the age I would have been 25 years ago, would be fucking people older than I am today. They wanted to help people, you know, back in those days. But even if you go back to 2003, that would be the final sort of time period. That is, after 2003 people change. But you have women that are teenagers, early 20s, and they're saying that he fucking comes first, okay? He's had a bad life, he's been molested, and saying he can fucking... I say, I don't give a fuck, he's in his 50s or what. I'm fucking him, I'm going with him. He deserves something, and stuff like that. You don't get that anymore. Today, you're a sick cunt. Regardless if you've been molested, you've got to look at people in their 50s. You're a sick cunt if you don't go with an old granny. I'll get someone to smash you in or knife you down. It's completely different. It's a different... So, if you're like me, too unlucky to get anyone back at the time, they cut your throat today, because it's too late, because people are different. People are a lot different. They don't have the same brain as they did back in those days. They thrive off the media, television industry, the music industry, and what they're told in soaps, programmes and TV programmes, which is changing their way out of how they think to the rational brain that they used to have. And obviously there's always been people that have moaned, and people have not always been adjustable or acceptable to age gaps or anything like that, but it was never like it was. This today is 99.9%. Back then it was about 50%. It was different. And even though people were nasty and pieces of work back then, and they didn't like people, they'd help people that had a very good life. But at the same time, if you had a face that looked like mine, even back then they don't give a fuck about you. So it's here and there. It depends where you are in the country, and depends what it's like. And I was just one of those that was too unlucky, even in my childhood years, where people were against me. And people notice it, some people didn't notice it, but the problem is, I was along amongst the rough community, and they sort of were in gangs, so they're like into happy hardcore music. They had like their posh football clothing on, their fancy sort of white New York baseball caps. Some would have like a ghetto blaster playing happy hardcore mixtapes like the Helter Skelter, Dreamscape. There wouldn't be stuff like the jungle scene. None of these people like jungle, and even back in those days they'd say jungle shit or fucked up. None of them like jungle. They only got into it like happy hardcore, and before the happy hardcore stuff, they didn't like the stuff like the jungle scene at all. They were listening to like, it was like the rave tapes in 93 and 92, but when they went for these rave tapes, they didn't go for like the deep technological sounds with the jungle sound in it. They were going for like the stuff like the ravey stuff, basically. It wasn't jungle, it's more ravey, spinny sort of stuff. Or like the stuff on Cookie Jar Records, like Rave 92, which was a bit more commercial. They'd be into that sort of stuff. No one ever took to the jungle scene. But jungle's a very moody type of music. It's very dreamy, it's very deep, very dark, very soulful, very singled out sounding, very low down. There's a lot of dark ambient influences and new age meditation influences, and people that are rough people don't like that sort of sound, or the aim and break, or the bass line in jungle. They prefer that beaty stuff, so that's why they never really took into it. So when I'm referring to the rave that they would have liked, there might be a few tracks that I liked which were sort of in that sort of way, but not many. So they like stuff like the Roughage Crew, a track called Dark Rider, which would be on Metalhead's recordings, which was a 1992 track. So that'd be your sort of limit. That'd be your sort of nearest jungle. Everything else would be more sort of happy, beaty music rather than anything jungly. You might hit in with Doc Scott and Keith Suckling, known as Scott and Keith, with D-Range Part 2, which is another big jungle track, where rave just going into jungle. You may just scrape in on that, where enemies may have listened to that, but they're more into the, you know, the BT music rather than when it started going into the jungle scene as such. So anyway, these happy hardcore people, they had very unusual age gaps that they were hanging about with, which was seen as normal back in those days. You'd have people in their 40s, and I'm not making this up, in the same crowd as a girl aged about 9, and they would be in crowds of about 10 plus, and they'd be drinking, but they loved their ecstasy back in that time period. You know, obviously they smoked weed, but they loved their ecstasy, these happy hardcore heads. I've done many documentaries regarding these types of people and the types of age gaps that they've been in. You've had rough people sort of, I don't know why this was occurring, but you did have people my age, my current age, in groups hanging around with people as young as 9 that are happy hardcore heads and taking ecstasy back in the 90s. Now I had nothing to do with all those types of people because I just didn't get on with them, because they were sort of all hard types of people, and you know. And when it comes to sexuality, that's anyone's guess, I guess. If you were to do some research on YouTube or watch other people's videos regarding these types of people, it'll give you the answers, won't it? I mean, I don't want to go in depth too far about this, but some of the stuff will shock you. So yeah, I'll leave it there on that part. And then also back in 95 or whatever, 96, it was normal anyway, because, but if I go to 2006, 2008 area, when I was walking from Bridgewater to North Petherton to see my dad on carnival night, I saw rough people in their 50s, and even an 11-year-old girl or 10-year-old girl that I caught, which they shouldn't be doing. Even she picked up stones and sticks and threw it at me, shouting, "If you..." This is the girl, by the way. She's sticking up for a man about 50, rough, hard build, but it's a different type of rough hard building that you see today, so it'd be a bit like, how do I describe it? It's not like the hip hop type people with beards, but some people look like that, yeah, but it's more like Jeremy Beadle from You Been Framed, that sort of serious look, or the robbers from Home Alone. It'd be that sort, but maybe a bit older in facial appearance. You know, it's that sort of rough, rather than the sort of druggy looking type rough. And, you know, people 50ish, you know, and they with their girlfriend, 11-year-old, 10-year-old. And that 10-year-old, on one occasion when I was walking up to my dad's down the canal, was throwing sticks at me, throwing stones at me, and saying, "You're fucking dead meat if you report this," and saying you wouldn't be fucking living. And this is a girl, and she was rough, literally that rough, and actually shouting at me, sticking up for her 50-year-old boyfriend, who again is rough, like I just mentioned, similar to what the robbers look like in the film Home Alone, but a bit older looking. That was normal back in those days, and yet at the same time people were digging at me with stuff that's not true, and mostly it was a Stephanie threat back in that day. And yet they're the ones that are guilty, and they're the ones that are coming clean about what they're doing in front of me. It wasn't actually fully dark either when they were doing it. It was nightfall, because I was walking from Bridgewater up North Perrin Canal, and you've got like a little stream thing which makes a lot of noise. That's why they probably did it there. Then you've got like a little row of trees before it goes into a field, and where the lock gates are, then you've got that like stream that makes a bit of noise. They were back behind where the field is, just in the tree area where the field is, and that's where I saw them doing it. I was looking across. I thought, is there anybody there? I sort of felt a bit uneasy at the time, I thought, and yes, it was. So, you know, they cause this, you see. They cause me to witness all these things, and, you know, things that are shocking, and things that people are not going to believe. And it doesn't happen here and there. This has happened on a long time. I'll tell you one thing, it hasn't happened. It's 2012 and before this happened, and it's never anymore, hardly ever anymore. But there has been a few things lined up Barrack, and I'll come to that later on. Again, I've already mentioned it, so before 2012, I've been on bus services to Weston-super-Mare, branching off to, I'm not sure if I even went on Cheddar bus in that time period. It's not very often I use a bus service when I moved to Burnham-on-Sea. So as 2013 area was sort of cut off from the bus service almost altogether. It was like only when I sort of in the last days last year I was there that I started using the bus service a bit more frequent. But yeah, I've actually seen some odd goings on in people's windows. There was one lady that looked like Leanne Bishop or Leanne Selway, which is one of the neighbours in Bridgewater, and she was basically in a barn, a bit younger looking, again fucking a rough person. What, about 30ish? Obviously that's younger than what I am today, but you know, it was seen as a norm back then. I witnessed that myself. Obviously some of these pictures you can't get evidence of it, you see, because you can get in trouble photographing the evidence. But I can tell you now, these have happened. If Sky Satellite was picking up all this, and I gave the times and dates, and they had satellite on Earth, they'd be shocked with all the what they find. They probably have found a lot of stuff like that, satellite. In recent times, since I moved to Yeovil, 2021 to 2022 is the only sort of time period where I've actually had anyone give me a respectable look, or like as if they fancy you. That's not a negative attraction or a sick off the floor looking face. And that's basically it. There might have been a couple of other times. 2024, I don't think there was anything. 2024 was a really bad year, and 2025 this year is a really fucking sour year as well. If we go back to 2023, I think it's 23, they were growing corn in that cornfield over there. I was doing documentaries, putting on YouTube. I went to the bottom end, so I'm on Barrack now, so it's the bottom end of Barrack, there's a bloke aged about 22. This was a rough bloke. So he looks more like a youth, but obviously you can see he's in his 20s. When I say 22, that'd be the appearance that I get to looking at him his age. That 22-year-old, although I'm 20 years older than him, well, obviously he's not going to be afraid of me because he's fucking built like stone. His muscles are built like stone, you know. He's a rock build, he's fucking hard build. Where I saw him once, and he had a go at me, thinking I was a sicko and told me to get out of the fucking way. And this is down back path where Jack the Treacle Eater is. I haven't seen him many times, I've only seen him a couple of times. On another occasion, I went to go in the cornfield. It was the middle of the day, I can't remember if it was a weekend day, it was a hot sunny day, and I thought I want to do a walk on board and pissed off. But he's only shagging a 9-year-old girl, or a girl about that age. So I didn't stay there or anything like that. What I did is I just walked on. So then I was hoping obviously I couldn't film it, you see, because if you film it, you can get in serious trouble. So I didn't do that. But I did audio record it. But what happened? I accidentally deleted the audio recording. And nothing would have come out anyway, because you had traffic, you had noise, background noise. So I just documented it in the end. That bloke I saw yet again, and I realised it's the same bloke, and I thought to myself, I'm not going to look at him. And I thought to myself, yeah, I know what he's done. I know this and know that. I thought, yes, I know he's a bit weird in his face. And I thought, yes, he's rough, he's hard. And he still had the nerve to walk towards me on the path while I was letting him past, and start his mouth at me off as he passed, threatening to do me over for claiming I'm a sick bastard. So when he's saying that, I'm thinking to myself, you're saying I'm a sick bastard, and yet a month or so before, whenever it was, I've caught you doing things that you shouldn't be doing, and yet you're telling me that I'm the sick bastard when I'm the one that witnessed what you were doing. And it's exactly the same person. I've had that all my life. I've witnessed some strange things in my life, and all these strange things that I've witnessed is coming back at me, even though I've done nothing wrong. It's beyond belief. Some people here and there mistaking me as Savannah or Liam, giving me threats under my proper name, Justin or whatever, threatening to bash me in, kill me, shoot me dead, and yet these people that are threatening me to do this to me are the same people I'm witnessing doing illegal things with children. So, you know, it gets better and better, doesn't it? It doesn't happen much though. A lot of these incidents that I was witnessing, or a lot of these things that were going on, these kids were a lot rougher back in the days before 2012, and a lot of the events that took place, or what I was witnessing, was mostly before 2012. In recent years, I've hardly seen anything at all. It's extremely rare, if at all. But you do get the occasional thing pop up here and there. Like you're on the bus, you're just sort of half dreamy away, just watching the scenery, and then you pass someone's window and you fucking know what's going on there, sort of thing. But it's extremely rare. When we reach, say, the year 2014, there's never more than 1 or 2 incidents a year, if that. And obviously, since I moved to Yeovil, apart from that one incident, and there was a couple, but not many. There was also a dark-haired lady in her early 20s, fucking a bloke just a bit older than me. Again, this was near Barrack. She's one of those really sexy type, but not a blonde type. She's thin, a bit like these new age witch type women, but the ones that are really sexy with a smooth skin, this sort of happy face that's laughable, the sort that like socialising, they're very friendly rather than, kind accent sort. And she was just getting off with some other bloke, a couple of years older than me, maybe. Or if it wasn't, it's someone that looks older than me. Again, And again, that lady, when she passes me, it's very rare. I've seen her twice, the same time period as when that happened, but I'm looked at as if I'm a piece of shit or a sick bastard. So, even though she's... Now, I don't know what her accent's like, because I've not heard her speak, but I have seen them doing what I mentioned. That was the other incident. And another thing I want to mention, going off to all this sexuality, because it's starting to make me feel ill now, because, you know, when you've never had anyone in your whole life and you're experiencing seeing this, and this is not schizophrenia, this is proper happenings. Again, this goes back to 2023. 2024 is a bad year. 2024 seems to be a year where it calls people to fucking turn against you or fall out with you before they even know you. 2024 is just a shit year. 2023 was a calmish year, but let me just go to the start of this. So 2021, when I first moved there, was pretty much, there was threats. Going out, wherever, there's threats. There wasn't, and it got worse. So when we came into sort of September 2021, you know, which is barely time to even move to your new place in Yeovil. So maybe October 2021 to September 2022. I had anything from 40 to almost 150 threats every single day in that time period. Same amount, if not more, for people trying to sneeze in my face of that specific time period. And also for people photographing me, wanting to get people to smash me and knife me, or to shoot me dead, mistaking me as Liam the Savant, even though I'm not that person. After September 2023, at home things got a bit worse, but the actual end of the year, outside, it was here and there, but it was a bit calmer, but not great. Yes, 22, sorry, into 23. 2023, however, was actually a calm year. I have to admit, 2023 was not a bad year. Near enough from the start. There were days where it was bad, May, April, whatever, but all in all, 2023 wasn't actually a bad year. Even the setups were dropped in that year. You didn't have so many people sneeze in your face, there wasn't so many threats, there were still people photographing me quite frequently. There wasn't anybody as such giving you nice looks or asking if you're single, or, you know, or trying to find anyone that's single or good looking or anything like that. But it wasn't a bad year. It was definitely. But 2020, that time period between 21 and 22, is the nastiest direct threat year in my whole life that I've ever experienced in my whole life. Even when you consider all the threats I had back in 2008, it was worse in 2022 than it was then. It only started calming down in the time period of about September, because I was going to Portland, I was camping in that time period near Weymouth, and even there it's the same. That was sort of when there's sort of that time period when it eased a little bit, but it wasn't until September where it really sort of calmed down. And it was also in September that year when I first went to Barrack, past Jack the Treacle, and started doing the Barrack walks. And also that year was a torrential rainstorm year, followed by blue skies and sunshine. But you had more cloud and rain that year than any time of 2023, 2024, and obviously this year's pretty much sunny. We have had a cloud about, but it's been at times where I've been indoors ill in bed with chest infection. So yeah. So yeah, not good. If I remember, 2022 was also quite a negative year come to the end of 2022. I was phoning up 10 Downing Street, moaning about setups and threats and all the increase. Setups didn't actually increase until 2023. 2024. It's been bad all along, but as soon as we come into 2024, because that's when the burning started, when the energy weapons started coming. The burning energy weapons. Obviously, the start of the energy weapons began at my old place with eye trouble, roughly around the same time as the Savant threat first came in. The first of all the Savant threats, when the Savant threat first came in. So that it started there basically. Then obviously when I moved to Yeovil, it took us several months for the eyes to recover, and eventually they started to become normal again. And there's a couple of times here and there, there's a 2-week period where Mark wasn't there and the eye problem started. and one period there and there. There's one burning problem, one bit of burning that occurred in July 2023. I think it was July, I'm not sure. There's a time period I stayed down my dad's for a short period of time, but the burning didn't continue after that, it stopped. And then obviously it started properly last day of January 2024, and it's just been basically persistent and getting worse at this minute in time. And also in the late summer of last year, where I had to come out drinking in the evenings and spending all day where I am now because of the burning problem. But then you have demonic activity in the graveyard and spooky happenings and the feeling like something's coming up behind you, and I decided that if the graveyard's going to present itself with demonic force against me, whether it's Jehovah or whether it's another entity, I thought, well, I'm not going to put up with this, so I just started going back again. And that's in the November period, and hardly ever came up here. It started getting colder in the same time period this was occurring. It's fun, obviously. In the summer months there's not much you can do, but obviously when you walk back in the early hours there's quite often trouble. No matter what time it is you go back, whether it's before the early hours or in the early hours or whatever, there's always bloody trouble when you're walking back that last little bit through Yeovil town going back to my place, which is very irritating. And it started getting nastier as well in the November period, and then obviously I was warned to stop doing it, and it was roughly that sort of time period I stopped doing it as well. And that's when the burning, I had to put up with the burning more frequently. But the burning's got really bad since January the 1st at 1 AM in the morning. I'm trying to tell people not to do it. They keep saying it's caused by schizophrenia, but if it isn't and they are doing it, then it needs to be reduced, because this can kill someone if it is being caused. I mean, this is fucking really painful. I mean, this is going right through you. I don't think they understand how dangerous it is or how powerful it is, or don't realise the intensity, maybe, if they are causing it. But whatever's causing it, I can tell you now, it's not safe. Far from it. And it even shows up on radiation detectors and whatever. I mention this on many documentaries. It's even on my YouTube channel, which is no longer active because of the sunny day curse videos that I've been getting evidence with the daily newspaper on that day that I filmed. And you know, they ain't happy, the YouTube people, when I mention about this sexual curse and being violated. So yeah, this is not good. So right, going back to what I was going to mention, that many people have turned against me in the year 2024. 2023, I saw a Gemma Ferguson lookalike that was walking down the woodland track, and the very first time she saw me, she smiled at me. She's only in her early 20s, and she smiled, but she also smiled, this is in 2023, that good year, she smiled as she wanted sex. She made the suggestion that she wanted sex, and I thought, that's a good suggestion, you know, she's good looking. She's actually sexier looking than Gemma Ferguson, in fact, smoother skin, slightly younger, and you think to yourself, well, if she's going to look at you like that, you're not going to say no to her like that suggestion. Then I saw her again, she said alright, or she said alright love, I can't remember. And I thought, you know, as if she's sort of hinting. She was with someone the next time, she just sort of walked past normally, but it wasn't anything offensive. This was still 2023. There's a bit of a time gap. 2024, she was with a crowd of people. This crowd of people was mistaking me as Savannah as they passed me, and she was in that crowd. She didn't really sort of say much. She was busy walking kind of sternly and talking to the others as she was passing me. The following time that I saw her, I decided to say alright. She just walked past and said nothing, and give a stern look. The time after that, or the time after, I can't remember, there's a couple of times where I saw her after that, but it became very less frequent and hardly ever saw her after this, the times I'm mentioning now. she started making a remark as she passed me, and she turned at that stage and started giving me an evil look. But it's not evil as if she's a nasty person evil. For her type of person, she seems to me to be a friendly type person that's just going with what people say, and then obviously if she sees me now, she just ignores me or gives an evil look or walks on fast as she passes, as it stands from 2024 onwards. And I think I only saw her 3 times in the whole of 2024, and that was it, or 4 times. So, and then obviously this year I've not seen her at all. Right, 2021, 2022 and 2023. 2024 was the fallout year. Right, so let's talk about this Emma. Emma's someone I remember at school, but I have nothing to do with her, and I don't speak to her anymore because she thinks I'm Saven and she doesn't remember me. But going back to 2021, when I first spoke to her and she spoke to me, I was mentioning a few things. She got in conversations or whatever. There's one occasion where 2 rough people, bearded type people, thought she was about 20 years younger than her age because she's still got smooth skin for her age. She's only just going into negative attraction basically in the last year and a half. But she did actually have smooth skin up until about a year and a half ago. She's 1 year older than me, so she's the same age as Lisa Pike, or just a bit older than Lisa Pike. And this is interesting. These 2 bearded people came up on one occasion, I think it's in 2022, I'm not sure, could have been 23, but I think it's 2022. And they threatened me to smash me out on the fucking floor right now, saying you shouldn't be speaking to a woman that looks sexual, saying that's a sexual woman, you fucking beast, or you sick cunt, and saying I'll fucking smash you, I'll get a knife out on you, and start getting nasty about it. So the other person sort of, well, you better get out of the area and you better walk on, and sort of a warning. So I split the conversation up. Emma said something but couldn't make out what Emma said, and they said you should be with Lisa. So they were referring to Lisa Pike. I thought, I'm not being funny, but Emma's actually older than Lisa Pike. Not by much. Maybe a section of like half a year, 3/4 of a year, maybe a year. And I thought, so why? And they think that because Emma's got smooth skin, they think that she's younger. She's actually older than me. She's older than Lisa Pike by a little bit, because she's in a higher class. I have known school. Anyway, these 2 people that were rough thought because she had smooth skin and as a sexual looking type, they claimed they had the theory that she was younger, so they started on me. Then there was another occasion that occurred so many months later, 6 months later, whenever it was, can't remember when it was now, not as violent, but had a similar suggestion, and this was 2 different bearded type people, but again it's bearded types of people, and they got nasty about it, so that split the conversation up. Emma split the conversation up, she didn't feel safe on it. She just walked on, I just walked on, and I think what Emma said on that occasion is, he said, why are you speaking to her? And she says, I don't even know him. And I thought, this is going to go down well, because it's going to cause trouble for me. Anyway, she's just spoke and said, alright, here and there. And then eventually she made remarks saying, you're Saven. When I saw her again, and this is in 2023. And then after that, she started making the sort of those sorts of sounds, or walking past, saying you're a spastic, and obviously I don't say anything back because I know she has mental health problems and she's not doing it to be spiteful. She doesn't remember me and she can't remember me, so she's only treating me how she would see someone she doesn't know. So obviously I have respect for her, and if she wants to do it, I just let her do it, you know. I know it's her problem, you know, she can't help it, and obviously I don't want to cause trouble. It doesn't bother me, so you know, I just let her do what she wants to do. And now, as it stands, from the beginning of 2024, she just ignores me when she passes, and that's the end of it. So that's how it is with Emma Granshaw. I did try making up on Facebook at one point, but things were a bit unsettled there going back to 2023. And before we actually stopped speaking, I did have a conversation with her briefly in a shop, saying, you're quite welcome not to speak anymore. And I said, I will not get offended if you don't want to speak, and just basically had a conversation like that. I can't remember if it was Aldi's or whether it was, and I said, it doesn't bother me. I said, I'm not going to cause trouble, I'm not going to upset you, you don't have to worry about me or anything like that. I said, if you don't want to speak, or if you or take the route you want to take or whatever, I said that's fine with me. And I can't remember what she said, but eventually it did go down that route, and I decided to take that way. So when we see each other now, it's just, we might look and just walk on, you know, not stare as such, just glimpse, you know. So just walk normally past, and she does as well, as you would as if you passed anyone in the street you don't know. So we're basically bygones now. But it's a little bit of a shame, you know, sort of, but obviously, you know, it's the right thing to do. You've got to respect people. You can't just, you know, cling on trying to make friendship with people that can't remember you or think you're a Savannah or whatever. So, you know, you've got to do things right. You know, you can't cause trouble or offence. You've got to be mature about it. You've got to be an adult about it. You know, you've got to be responsible. So I just do that now. Also, going back to 2022 is when I was using the train service to do the Portland trip, to do the camp over. I saw someone I've not seen for many, many years. The last time I saw her was in Bridgewater in Boots, and she was with a boyfriend or a family member in the boot shop. At Yeovil College, when I visited Yeovil College back in the late 96 area, whenever it was, she was taller than me, and most people were insulting her, saying she's ugly because she's got a face of a dog. I didn't fancy her myself, but I recognise who she is. When you look at people in my age group or her age group, it turns out that as it stands today, she's probably one of the only types you can fancy that's got smooth skin still. Obviously that's not the case in the last year and a half, as she's developed that old attraction and her skin's gone really bad in that time period. But she's also been made a single mother. So what happened initially is I saw her for the first time on the train since Yeovil College, and she looked like she might have remembered me but was not sure. So I looked at her. Firstly I had two adults. I knew it was. So she's, initially I thought she was slightly older than me by a year or two, but I did find out later on that she's actually a couple of years younger than me. Not by much, only a couple of years. So 3 years younger than me, possibly 2 years younger than me, but it's not much of a difference. Well, when she looked at me, she looked like she was sort of, she gave that look like I know him or seen him before or something. So she might have recognised me. Some people do, they lock it in their heads. So she probably recognises me from that time. She might not be, she might not have, but she did appear to remember me. But she needed to go to the loo, and I wanted to say alright, but I thought I can't say alright until she until the process is right to do so. So I just sort of looked and sort of, she looked like she liked, give a like look. So I thought, yeah, that's good. At the same time that I did this, I thought, two blokes started on me saying, oh, yeah, fucking smash them out. That's what I'm fucking doing, looking at a fucking woman that age. You should be fucking knocked out, fucking knock his fucking teeth out. When he gets out of the dry, I'm gonna fucking smash him to fuck. And I thought to myself, I'm not being funny, but she's basically near enough the same age I am. And they had that theory, because she had that smooth skin look, that she was 25 years younger than what she really was. I'm not sure of her exact age, because I've heard stories here and there. I've spoken to people in the church. They say they know who she thinks they are, and but they say they can't remember what her name is and all the rest of it. Some have linked her to being the age of 3 years younger than me. No one's seen her as being older than me, but she did look older than me when she was in college, at Yeovil College, years and years ago, back in 1996 area. But like I said, it's hard to say. You can see that she's, you know, that age is there, but because the type of skin she's got and the type of face she's got, she holds that young look in her face and the smooth skin. You can see that there's slight grey in the hair, but not much. But it's rare to get someone that age actually that holds smooth skin. Now going back in Yeovil days, when I was at Yeovil College, everyone thought she was ugly and people were fancying sexier types or blondes. But you've got to take into account, when you reach my age, most people look really fucking disgusting and horrid looking faces. So
yeah, so thinking that you're fancying the ugliest person that you thought was the ugliest person in college, you'd think, oh, yes, well, that's not bad if you can compare it to what people look like today, yes. So that's how I looked at her as. And yeah, she is quite good looking. Obviously back then, I was younger and I didn't develop to that type of attraction. But today, yes, I can fancy that type. When you compare that, most people my age have got that horrid look, or that wrinkly look, or grey hair look, or whatever, then yes, I can't take to the aged type. So then you think, yeah, she is good looking. Because there's literally no one above the age of 40 I can fancy on a dating site. No one. I try telling this to social workers, support workers, mentioning it on the internet. People just do not take that into account. And all you're doing is aging and aging. But it's too late, and you think to yourself, well, the only sex you can never have is being sexually abused as a child. And every time, and I will say something else, since that's sort of been going on, where I've been worried about people, what they do is they time lookalikes to people that sexually abused me as a child. And they're doing this all the time, especially in the year 2024. Every single day, near enough. They're telling me, want me to have sex with people that raped me as a child, telling me that people that sexually abuse me as a child is the attraction you should be having sex with. Saying it's going to make no difference now. You need to be with someone that sexually abused you as a child. You're too old to go with a sexual person. You're supposed to be with people that sexually abuse you as a child. Fuck people that sexually abuse you as a child. Make love, not war with them. Fuck the guts in and out of them. Enjoy sex. Get Jesus out of them. Return. Make a doorway to heaven for everyone by fucking someone that raped you as a child. They do all this stupid fucking stuff and time. Spill your guts t-shirt. Age is just a number. It's love that counts. Just fuck people that rape you as a child. Over 50 is too old. Under 50 is fine. You know, it's like that. They're being pathetic about it. Especially in the year 2024. And this year. So, they want to be potato heads about it, the government or whoever's causing it. So, anyway, going back to this lady that looks like a dog, who I thought was slightly older than me, but appeared that I'm told she's slightly younger. I saw her one more occasion. She was with someone, so she smiled and gave me a happy look and like a sexy sort of smile look. And that was the last of it. And that's in late 2022. In 2023, she was with someone. The person that she was with was mistaking me as Savenne. She gave like an evil look, but it was not a powering evil look. It's like a look like she likes you, but trying to force that evil look out her eyes at the same time to try and turn her, you know, but not. It's like she's like pressuring herself to cause that evil look, where she doesn't really hate you, but it's trying to push that evil out. The first time, that is. The next time I see her is months and months later. She's pregnant. Obviously, the rough person she's with is obviously a younger person. So the person she's with is about 20 years difference in age, because this person's a lot younger. But you know, I know it's the same person. I know that for a fact. So it's definitely the person that I knew at Yeovil College. And I can tell you that because of the grey hair that's coming in her. And obviously, identical looking face to her I saw years ago. It's just that she hasn't developed that old looking attraction yet. Well, she has, but only in the last year and a half. Next time I see her, as soon as she got pregnant, basically, is when she started to get that old attraction in her face. The following time I saw her, she gave in more of an evil look, and then the boyfriend started on me at the same time. And then obviously after that, I think there was another couple of times where I saw her, but I can't remember what happened on those times. But it was times where I can't remember. She said something actually, to be fair, on one of those occasions. I'm trying to think back. I don't remember all the. But basically, it turned ugly from that time onwards, and basically the whole of 2024, near enough. Last year, I didn't see her at all. If I did, it would have been in the early part. I don't recall her seeing her, and I've definitely not seen her this year. I don't think, no. And that's the end of that story as well. 2024, incidentally, is also the year they stepped up this weighing business, which would be 30 years ago from when I knew Wayne. Wayne is a relative that I knew when I was a child, and he would have been a child as well when I knew him. He's just a few years younger. So that side of the family split from our side of the family for personal reasons. But what I will say is the reason is not because of me. So it is private, obviously, but the reason is definitely not because of me. Going back 15 years or so ago, they try and make up on Facebook, but there was another issue, and again that's a private issue, and again it's not because of me, but that side of the family didn't make up because there was issues there. I can see why it didn't take place, but obviously those issues should be kept private. It's not for me to discuss, and it does make sense why that side of the family didn't want to get to reunite with relatives of our side of the family or our side of the family. Now, this Wayne business, or the setups to suggest in Wayne, died out near enough as soon as it started. I was posting to Bridgewater Mercury these setups, and I was sort of bringing up the Wayne business with the setups. So you had the setups which seemed to sort of become very suggestive in the year 2005. So the Wayne setup sort of died out 2007, so it didn't last very long. Then it went into the Stephanie setup, and later then accused me of the Sadie Dando setup, but the Sadie Dando setup didn't last that long either. So as soon as you hit 2011, it was here and there, so there were still days where it was nasty at times, but it was not as frequent as what it was before 2011. As far as the threats go, people making threats, it went from 100% to 20% after the year 2011, right through until I moved to Yeovil. So even the whole of Burnham-on-Sea, there was 6 months where that threat didn't occur. It was sort of round about the year of the Savem threat coming in and whatever, and just before I moved it started to increase a little bit, but it didn't really go that far, if you get what I'm saying. And then obviously the actual setups themselves did actually start to fade off. The problem is, when these setups died out in 2019 or started to die down, the setups were still there, and especially loud bikes for erections, but it was eliminated. I was walking into sexual people, people 20 years younger than me actually looking at me saying, "Are you single?" or walking past or whatever. But then we went into a lockdown, and then obviously in the lockdown, the first lockdown, is where I was seeing Gemma and walking into Gemma on a regular basis, but she just didn't seem to have communication properly, and obviously, like I said, I left that letter in the shop where she works, and obviously it turned out into a row on the phone, and then saying that she doesn't like me basically and don't have done anything to do with her, and that you made a mistake, she just doesn't like me. So I left it at that. When we went into the second lockdown, these setups started to reconstruct themselves that are against me all the time. So you had the Amy Weston setup, which I got in trouble for putting on the internet. The police got me, said I was that close to going to jail because of what you mentioned on the internet. So I was telling the police this is the setups and the control force that's occurring when I go out. So that sort of died out completely, as good as. There might have been the occasional mistake where it would occur here and there, but not that frequent. As soon as we came out of the lockdown into reality in 2020, these setups were 4 times heavier than ever before on a daily basis. They were reconstructed heavier and much more malicious and much more nasty, and they were hitting out the Amy Weston suggestion right after the other, the Stephanie suggestion right after the other, the Sadie suggestion right after the other, and same with Wayne and other people. They were just throwing it all at me and just causing as much havoc and as much problems as they can possibly cause with all these setups, and it just got worse and worse and worse. And obviously when I moved to Yeovil, the first week I moved to Yeovil, I actually moved a week earlier than I was supposed to have, before I was actually supposed to move in. The first week there wasn't many setups or threats. It was all controlled and constructed on the second week, and it's been like it ever since. Once I get into that second week, trying to think what happened. It's basically when the start of all problems started, and it's been like that since. Obviously I didn't report it because obviously I wanted to keep a good reputation. I just put up with it. I thought it was not a good thing to say when you first moved there, and at first I was being reported for all these problems I wasn't doing, you know, but there's nothing you can do about it. So that was that. Later on, 2022, the setup's quite heavy and quite malicious actually in 2022. Even though you had all the threats, you had all the setups as well, so that only goes to one house, so I don't know how it happens, but every single time I come here, there's a van or a car that comes out of the house, no matter if I'm there 2 hours, which is probably, yeah, I guess it's possible, but it just seems to be every time. So 2022, like I said, is the worst year for threats. Crispin Hall, I nearly had to call 999 on several occasions where I was nearly being attacked by people that are hard. These are like football people that start rousing bars, you know, sort of hard types of people, but not the hardest, you know, hard types, but the sort of people that look like Dave from Scooter, the sort of people that look very similar to him, or think they're big-headed, or give it someone sort of really like their football. So like rough, but not this sort of druggy type rough, if you get what I'm saying, the serious rough. But and I had a lot of people like that start on me in 2022 as well. And then obviously I was chased with a knife, carving knife, at 9 Springs, being mistaken as Saban, and the following day I was mistaken as Liam with a threat and being threatened to be chased. So that's when I posted my USB sticks to conspiracy theorists and the Washington White House, containing my life story pack of 20 years of problems, or just under. And then obviously straight after that, that's when all the problems get worse as far as setups go. 2024 is the worst this year since I lived in the Oval, and the start of 2025 is worse than the previous years as well, unfortunately. So 2025 this year is worse than 2022 and 2023 and 2024 for this time last year. It feels more depressing, it's more lower, and the setups are heavier than previous years as well, including 2024 where the setups have been stepped up. But it wasn't until April 2024 that these setups were really heavy. 2023 was the start where they stopped me getting on the bus service on a cloudy day, or when there's cloud cover. Even though it's going to turn sunny later or whatever, or they've got the sun controlled around you, they still don't want you out on a cloudy day. No, they're doing that big time. In 2021 and 2022 I could get on the bus service, no problem at all. Even on the, well, at least the beginning part of 2022. It's trains after that, because obviously I couldn't get on the bus service because even on a sunny day it's just packed. People were trying to enjoy the sun, you see. Now it's the reverse way around, people prefer the cloud. And that's what's making it more difficult for people that prefer a cloud to go on a cloudy day, because it's reversed to everybody because of how sunny it's been in the last few years. Although 2022 was not a bad year, you sort of had mystical feelings. It felt nice doing these walks. You could go do these walks and it would still be quite nice, you know, you get that feeling where it feels nice to do a walking. You go places and whatever. Since 2023 things have just felt really down. I mean, you don't even get that sort of goodness or the feel of goodness of nature. It just feels like you're down in the dumps all the time. It's just different now. 2024 is the most depressed year of my life since I moved to Yeovil. I mean, even when I was living at Burnham-on-Sea, there were very depressing days and years, but you could still, at some stage, enjoy life to some extent. And also I was under the age of 40, so I had that sort of feeling that I might be able to get a girlfriend or a sex partner for the first time in my life, someone I'm able to fancy. Now it's too late. I've got to be with people that sexually abused me as a child, like it was in my previous life. In my previous life, whether there's clairvoyance right, I don't know, because there's been clairvoyants that have been wrong with the future readings of partners or whatever. I have mentioned this, but not for a while. Going back about 15 years ago, I had a past life clairvoyant reading, and she said I was working in a laboratory and I was a young lady that died tragically in my early 20s, and she says you were a pretty sexy lady, one that attracts all the men. But she did say that in my previous life I had a very bad childhood because I was sexually abused persistently as a child in my previous life, but I was a girl in my last life, I wasn't a male. Where basically this life's worked out the same, and the setup for 2022, because even in 2022 the setups weren't great, but they were not as nasty as what they were in 2024. They were making the suggestion that the same is happening in your next life, and that we're going to cause you to get molested in every life, and that we're cheering about it and throwing a party about it. But 2022, I think it was, I can't remember, was the first year when they were making the suggestion that they're going to play about with me in a fireplace with poker sticks, burning me after raping me as a child in my next life, or throwing a party over it through suggestions. When they started making suggestions like that, it could have been 2022, 2023 or 2024, it's in that time period, but that's the sort of starting stages of when they started to get nasty about it and suggesting that. Because these people are doing it are possibly Satanists, hardcore Satanists that go around sacrificing babies in fireplaces. Who organised this force around me to make that suggestion? Just a possibility, I don't know for sure, but that's what's going on. Something else, again, this is 2024. Right, if there's no toilets anywhere and you need the toilets, or the toilets are locked or whatever, they've done this over 300 times in 2024, where they caused someone to be timed when you're going to the toilet. But not only has it happened to me, I'm not going to mention who else it's happened to, but someone else saying that they've experienced it more this back in 2024 than any other year where this has occurred, when they need the toilet and they can't go because the toilets are either locked or they're in an area where they can't go to the toilet. So going behind a tree or whatever, they've timed someone slyly to come out of an area to occur when you go to the toilet. And that's occurred over 300 times in 2024, and I'm not making that up. For me, that is. For this other person that I've talked to about this, is because this has not happened to this person either. Like I said, I won't give this person's name because I don't want to upset or cause problems with this person, but it's not happened nowhere near as many times as that, but what's occurring is being caused, if you get what I'm saying. Also, at the beginning of 2024, we had a stormy specific day. On that day, there were blue skies, circling me with blue skies and sunshine, yet it was grey and cloudy for the rest of the country. There were several incidents where stones or rocks were falling out of walls tiny as I walked under them, and also many branches, including big heavy branches, and trees collapsing on me when I went to pass these trees when on this specific walk, and I filmed the bestest evidence ever on that specific walk that I did in January. If we go back to 2023, the street light was flickering. There's an LED white street light, a modern one, where they've replaced the SOX bulb, so it's a 35 watt SOX bulb that's been replaced with an LED. Well, the night that I went to Mary Magdalene's Holy Communion and actually walked out the church, because of people from different parts of the country were mistaking me as Savannah, and people were getting quite nasty with me in St Mary Magdalene's church. And you've got to take into account that Mary Magdalene had sex with Jesus Christ, so Mary Magdalene was only a child when Jesus was an adult. But it was approved back in those days because you didn't have a police state as tightly restricted as now regarding paedophilia or Jesus being in a sexual relationship with Mary Magdalene, because there was no law or age or anything like that back in that time. And even while I was in the church, I decided to walk out. However, I did enjoy the walk that I did on that specific evening before I went into the church. However, there was a few other issues that occurred which were in a cursed way, or where I was being insulted with suggestions on top of the street light that was flashing or whatever it was, I can't remember now. So that was the other thing that occurred. Just phoned up the staff at Supported Housing to find out how my laptop's come, and it still hasn't come, and it's the end of the day. So I'm not a very happy person at the moment. There's a triangular signpost, one of those really old ones, that I wanted to photograph going back a couple of years ago, and I couldn't do it because it's sunny, and I was struggling to do it in the month of January in particular, and in the end I had to basically clean up one I took the previous year, because there's no way I could photograph it because the sun kept coming out. And it was being done deliberately, like it was cursing and circling around me. Well, the actual signpost has actually gone completely now. You just got a new signpost with a rock falling symbol on it, and then one with a man holding a child to imply that there's people walking on the path, on the road, sorry. So I'm gonna have to stick with the original picture that I took in 2022. I will mention something else. Obviously I don't have clairvoyant readings anymore, so since the end of last year, because they've been so wrong now when it comes to partner predictions or life improving, because it keeps going the other way, life worsening. It's better not to have a reading than it is a reading, and it does actually make you feel a bit low, because you think to yourself, a reading, although it might not come true, is a good guide to sort of cheer you up, even though it might not be true, you know, of the possible theories of what they come up with. But the thing is, what's the point? You'd be wasting your money, and obviously it goes the opposite way. Things go worse, and these people that set this force up against me are making their readings known to me that is to be malicious and violent and to be outright fucking nasty. So you can't win, you see. And obviously, since Mum's life's got worse, when a clairvoyant has predicted life getting better, you know, cancer and all the rest of it, you think to yourself, well, what's the point in having readings if it's nonsense? So basically, that's what I was saying earlier on. I've stopped having readings. So when you're looking for your life, thinking to yourself, I've always sort of dwelled on some readings to sort of give a guide. Well, I don't have readings anymore, so it does make you feel worse. It does make you feel more low, thinking, well, how is life going to change? But at the same time, you're just going to have to get used to that, because obviously you'll be wasting your money if you have readings, because it's nonsense. I don't want to be pathetic about it. Obviously this doesn't usually occur down here. I don't think I've ever seen that van down here. Actually, I don't know. I might have seen it just before Christmas. I'm not sure. Well, obviously I'm not going to say what the van says because it will offend someone, but I'll give you a section of what it says. It says, "Is your man." That's what it says on the side of the van, but I'm not going to go any further than that because I don't want to offend people. That hasn't been occurring actually a lot lately. Obviously it's a lot more frequent than what it used to be, because going back to 2023 when it was occurring, I got in trouble for mentioning the first part of that van, and it did upset someone, and they stopped setting it up, and it was rare. And then as soon as we come to April 2024 onwards, they were doing it every other day. They're just like, they don't give a shit, like they can cause it to occur many times as they want it to occur. And it's like that with all the rest of the setups and trying to cause as much. 2024 is a really bad year for setups, and so is this year at the moment. But since November, middle of November, they've caused it to be as busy and as hectic and as problematic as they can possibly cause it to be around me. Right, so tying to an itchy whatever, they need to time a loud bike. And that's something that's on the increase at the moment. It started when I had the chest infection. They're increasing the loud bike time to an erection issue or time to itchy bumholes or whatever, and I'm getting very pissed off about it. Very personal. I never used to mention this sort of stuff, and it's very personal, but they keep on and on doing it. Back in 2008, half the bikes on the road were being timed. Now they've got it constructed. As soon as I moved to Burnham-on-Sea, they construct every single bike. Between 2016 and there's a 3-year period. Out of that whole 3 years, there's 2 years in particular where they managed to control every bike on the road time to itchy bumhole and erection, or time going to a toilet, no matter what time of day it is. Don't matter if it's Christmas Day, don't matter if it's 4 or 5 in the morning. They got it rigged up, timed to the split millisecond to my penis, rigged up, and it pissed me right off. In actual fact, they were still continuing it after I got in trouble with the police, after rowing with 10 Downing Street about this being caused all the time back in 2016 area. And they never stopped it. And it still continues today. Out of all setups, they never stopped that. Never. Even when they were relaxing the setups before the lockdown, the first lockdown, it was reduced a little bit, but the bike issue never really ended. They were timing that persistently. Right, so there's been about another 20 bikes, so they've been hitting them out to erections, itchy bum holes, you name it. Yeah, it's very personal. I mean, back in 2011, sorry, I didn't want to ever mention this sort of stuff on the internet, and then I got really, really pissed off with it later on. It just got worse and worse. So I made my first sentence in a real shitty mood. I thought it's the most personal thing you could possibly mention, and I thought to myself, this is going to be really embarrassing, but the problem is, I am getting really, really fed up with it. Really, my head was on fire. I was literally getting really pissed off with it, because it wouldn't stop doing it. And it was just timing loud bikes, up on erection, and that's where it began, and it became more frequent, and eventually it became so common, though it's seen as a normal thing. And eventually the doctor ended up knowing what I was putting on there, and then we discussed this problem all the time. But yeah, it started in 2008, this did. Well, actually it could have gone on before that, but it wasn't seen as being a setup as such. It was more coincidence before that time. There was actually a time in 2003, there's a girl who was a few years younger than me, so I would have been about the age of 22. She would have been about 15, and she was in the garden next to me back in 2003. She was out there on a regular basis. It was summer, I had the windows open, and I did know there's quite a lot of loud bikes then. And I do recall there possibly being time to erections even back then, but I can't remember, you see, I can't remember that way well, and I wasn't seeing it set up back then, so I can't really, but just, there's something about, I remember something, I can't remember what it is. So it could have gone back as far back as then and when they started it. That's something else that I want to mention. There's a specific tree. Now I come up here back in the early days of when I moved to Thorn House. It was just would have been about 2 months after I moved to Thorn House. I was taking a different route to come up here back then, and I didn't come from this angle because I didn't know the area. Didn't know the area that well, so I was walking through the mansion house grounds instead of past taking the roadway the other way from Barrack. And I was also allowed to walk up through the muddy area to the top of the hill instead of going through the woodland track area, which is a better route, and you'd get muddy feet. Well, I told it as private going back to 2022, so this is when I discovered this other route, but it wasn't until later in 2023 I knew about that other way, and then I started coming up here on a more regular basis when I found out about that route. Well, the first 2 months I moved here, there was graffiti on the tree that I'm standing next to now. Obviously you can't see it because it's not in video form, but it said Eastville Rapist, and that writing's got off there completely now, but that's what it said. I don't know when that was written, but it was newish graffiti back in the time of when I moved to Thorn House. But also the graffiti looked like it had been there a while, not long, but it had been there a while, and it looked like it would have been there at least 6 months before I moved to Yeovil. So that's not a very good suggestion, is it? But you know, it was there. So I want to mention a few things, some bad, unfortunate things that happened in 2022. Taking away threats, taking away organised force or setups or loud bikes to erections or anything like that. Just focusing on actual problems that occurred. So 2022, I was drinking vodka, spirits, Jägermeister in high amounts, because I had a spirit drinking problem because my life was going downhill. And I thought to myself, being in my 40s and never having sex, what's the point in living? Obviously I've had to stop all that because I'm getting teeth problems now. So I'm only sticking to lager. It's because it's causing all the enamel to fall off the teeth, causing dry teeth, and I'm getting pissed off of it. But there's nothing you can do about it. Whether that's causing it because I had Diet Coke mixed with rum or whatever, but something's caused my teeth, and it's all only happened since I started drinking the cola, and I stopped doing that. So it's the biggest mistake I made, basically, because I need to cause the teeth to go back to normal. I don't know how that's going to happen. Anyway, let's get with the bad news, shall we? There are some M discs that I recorded going back at my old place, which is known as the Music Electronica series. Now I had 3 packs. I had the Music 12. These are the original packs. I had 12. You got to take into account that there were some that I hid out. Going back to, I can't remember what year it was, 2018 or whatever. They resurfaced a bridge where I'd hid some temporarily because of the risk of a break-in at my old place. And what happened? 3 packs of 12 M discs, the Music Electronica series. Each one of those ended up in the rubble dump and chucked out wherever it's gone to. Broken up with a tractor while they replaced the bridge. Quite literally, a lot of the stuff that I hid out back in that time got found, and the stuff that didn't get found, when I retrieved it, was all soaking wet and had to be chucked out and was not playable. Even an M disc was not playable. So definitely not something you want to leave outside. When it comes to, you just cannot do that. The others were in a dry place, mine. This bridge was dry, but the problem is, it's too late for that because that bridge has been replaced with a new bridge, and they've taken my disc with them. The other 3 packs of discs that I had, which is also Music Electronica, because I made little copies of these because I thought I don't want to ever lose that music ever. It's the only music I got, my jungle music, my favourite music. The 3 were in the shed at the back of my place, where I had thousands of pounds of stuff ready to move in to Thorn House. I was camping one specific night, which was the night before I went to pick it up. So there were 6 boxes, which included those M discs, recorded discs of music, which were initially at storage. And then they went to my nan's, and I closed the storage when I moved to Thorn House. And then I put the stuff, half of it was at nan's and half of it was ready to be picked up with the social worker the next day to take to Thorn House. And obviously all the stuff was at my place because I put the keys in because I finished there to move on, which is the biggest mistake I made. But I had to move from there because of the eye problem. But there is good news. I didn't fall out with anyone when I moved there, and it was better and ended on a calm note with the neighbours rather than on a negative note, because there has been ups and downs, and it has been bad and there's been police or whatever. But at the time I actually moved was on a calm note, which is good. Anyway, I don't believe it was done by the neighbours, but someone broke into the shed with all my stuff, took the whole 6 boxes and the blue rubble sack of clothes that I had prepared to move into Thorn House when I went to move to Thorn House back in 2021. Thousands of pounds of stuff, which included blank M discs, a spare M disc drive, a new one incidentally, and the Music Electronica series. Obviously I had the Music Electronica series on 3 lots of 12 discs. No, actually it's 3 9s. The 3 12s are the ones that got broken into and lost. So you had Music Electronica 1, which was jungle tracks, across 12 discs. That got broken into. I lost that. Same for Volume 2, 12 discs, and same for Volume 3, 12 discs. Nothing I can do about it. Later on, they were 9, the ones I had at my nan's, so they're packs of 9. So you had 9 Music Electronica, 1 pack, 9 another pack, because I made as many copies as I possibly could in the 2015, 2016 area, because I thought, I can't lose this music, there's no way I can lose this music, I need as many copies as I want this to last me for a lifetime wherever my music goes, and it's literally not the case. So what happened now was, they were taken out of storage. It was at my nan's until I And then what happened there is I took those back yesterday, took them back, they were fine. I had them at Thorn House, but what happened is I went to see Dad on one occasion. I can't remember what the event was now, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to make it look like they're in a rubbish bag, or make it look like a rubbish bag so no one steals them. So what I did is I put those M discs in a black bag to make it look like it is rubbish, and with a few other bits and pieces, and then I put a couple of bags or whatever, tied it up to make it look like it's a bin bag when it isn't, because I thought I can't lose those discs because they're important. But when I came back from visiting Dad's or whatever, I just left it there, forgot all about it, didn't take much notice of it. I knew what it was, started drinking in the evening, and one evening, not thinking straight, while I was pissed, I thought it was the rubbish bag. And what happened? I took the rubbish bag out, thinking it's a rubbish bag, and it's the one with my M discs in there. And this was in 2022. Now, this was when Sandra was working, the old lady, so I mentioned it to her. So when I realised that I filled the other bag up, I realised, hang on a minute, that's the other bag, where's the other one gone? I thought I'd chuck that one out. So I went to go down to the skip a few days later to retrieve the disc, and it's too late because the bin men had been and they emptied the skip, and I lost my M disc. So what I did is I opened that bag up, and I realised that I did chuck the wrong bag out, and that the bag that I went to take down was actually just rubbish in that bag. So that was another mistake that I made. So I couldn't redo the discs, you see, because of all the banging in the building. So, you know, I had the dark ambient cryo chamber music, but we had many issues with that. Going back to the beginning of last year, you know, I had that burning problem. Well, that burning problem's fucked up all my M discs I bought. So there's about £1,400 worth of M discs, of cryo chamber discs of dark ambient I bought off eBay. As I was buying it as alternative music, because I wanted other music, because I was scarce for the jungle tracks that I had anymore, and I thought, my life's going downhill, and I thought I want something a bit more soothing, and something a bit more moody, something to sort of keep me on a level vibe while my life gets worse. Alternative to jungle, because I was finding a lot of jungle tracks were going against me, and a lot of people that made those jungle tracks were only in their 20s or teens, and you're thinking to yourself, they've had sexual relationships with teenagers, and I thought to myself, I'd be known as a sick cunt if I look at people the age they were when they made that track, and you're listening to that track or whatever. So I thought, I know, I'm going to change my music, but also it's for other reasons as well. The scarcity, there's just the fact that I didn't have much in the way of music anyway, the fact that energy weapons, or whatever you want to call it, were messing up the discs at my old place, and that's why it all went in storage. But little did I know, whatever was causing the burning problem, which is still causing the burning problem today, cost me £1,400 in cryo chamber discs that I had to chuck away. So apart from the spare copies that I initially did, or gave to my brother, I've lost all my music when it comes to the dark ambient as well. But because I've done a couple of a couple of M discs, 6 in total, so I posted 2 to my mum via my photos 1 and 2 and my photos 3 or whatever. It turns out that one package gets stolen in the post to start with. This was a lucky recording I did in late 2023 when Matty wasn't doing much banging or whatever, and all the other neighbours weren't doing much banging. I managed to do a couple of discs, but then the banging did kick off again. So obviously 2 are at my dad's, and obviously I took the other 2 to my dad's as well, so there's 4 at my dad's. So any cryo chamber can be retrieved from that, but the original discs have had to be chucked. I didn't realise properly that the cost of those M discs had gone up because they're discontinued. It gets better because it seems like they're discontinuing all disc drives in general, so discontinuing discs has pissed me off really, because it's not just discs that are discontinuing, they're discontinuing the disc drives and trying to do away with the disc technology, which is not helpful, because I'll come to another problem in a minute. Again, this is 2023, but as far as the Music Electronica series goes, I have a very scarce amount of copies of that. I'm not actually 100% sure whether I actually have any of the Music Electronica series left, which means I got it in USB, I got it on hard drive, but actually on a disc, recorded disc, M-disc or whatever, I'm not actually sure I've actually got it. I think it's one of those where I'm just going to have to accept that I've lost my jungle, but I do have the cryo chamber dark ambient on disc. As long as I got one form of music that I like, there's music I like for the rest of my life, that keeps you company, then obviously I'm not too bothered. But the scarcity, you're literally throwing your life away basically. I did grab up a load of CDs off of eBay and CDs off the floor where certain tracks still played even with the burning problem, but it did mess up most CDs, 3/4 of the CDs, so whatever's causing this burning. This is something else, again, putting it down to schizophrenia when it comes to the mental health team. But the problem is, schizophrenia doesn't break discs, and it shows up on radiation detectors and whatever else. Anyway, obviously in today's money, you're looking at about £3,000. Back in the time when I was recording these discs, back in 2022 or whatever it was, 2023, you're looking at £1,400. When I bought those discs, you're looking at about £500. So I decided to chance. I thought, I need to save my music, I need that music rescued, I need that music safe, even though the banging's occurring. But the problem is, when I did eventually kick out 30 CDs or so, discs of 3/4 discs of 40 track music CDs of my top favourite music tracks to keep them rescued and safe before it's too late, it turns out later on that interference, phone signals or whatever while saving the tracks occurred on most tracks that I saved. So when I burnt the CDs, thinking to myself, I've done them, I thought to myself, I'd done it, I got what I wanted done, but it cost me £3,000 in today's money if I wanted to replace those discs that I had to chuck out, but which cost me £500 back in the day when I bought them, or just a bit under that, because they were cheaper then because they weren't discontinued. But this is going back to 2023 or 2022 or whenever, that cost reached 1,400. So out of that 1,400, I managed to get 30 to 40 discs recorded. I thought, there's a lot to chuck out, and it's £1,400 in today's money, obviously £3,000 in 2025's money, but I thought I got my discs done, I got a reasonable amount to see me for a lifetime if I keep them safe. But I didn't realise until I played them back that when I did those discs, I fucked them up because there was interference of phone signals on a lot of the tracks that I recorded. I thought, so I had to chuck them all out. So all the recordings I did, I basically chucked out £3,000 with nothing. I was not very happy. So what happened then is I did another 40 track disc using the same tracks, and I snapped all the original copies. I thought, if they're broken, God, I'll hit the roof because I lose all my music. So I did another 40 disc. The very first disc I actually did, I gave Peter, one of the neighbours, my master disc. I thought, he's sort of a good friend, so I thought, why not give him a master disc? Whether he likes it or whether he chucked is up to him, but I wanted to give him a master copy. And then I thought, there's a few more tracks on there that I need to get off, so I just cut it down to 40 tracks, keeping it to my bestest possible tracks of whatever music it is. I thought, I've lost all my music. The Music Electronica series I don't actually think I've got backed up anywhere on disc, I'm not sure. I know I got it on USB or hard drive, but actual recorded on a disc, I can't guarantee that anymore because of these issues that occurred. I mean, I went down my mum's recently and I didn't find any there, and I don't think there's any at my dad's, so it's not good. I don't sort of, but you know, there's nothing you can do about it. Anyway, I done this 40-track album. I managed to get 6 copies done, though Peter had more tracks on his because I gave him the very first one. Those 6 copies I did. Well, there's got to be some good news, and I will say there is some good news. There's 2 copies at my mum's and there's 2 copies at my dad's. There's 2 copies I wrapped up in foil because it was in the time period that the burning problem was occurring, but it was eliminated. And I just have to hope those 2 copies are alright. But if those 2 copies are at my place aren't alright, I still have 2 copies at my mum's and 2 copies at my dad's of the 40 tracks, which is a mixture of jungle and dark ambient, and a couple of I think Ultravox Vienna's on there because that's one of my best tracks from the 80s as well. So that, and possibly the dark ambient ones if they're not the 2 copies, no, the 4 copies I have at my dad's, and that's it for that one. And then obviously that's it. So the possibilities of the Music Electronica series, if there is any copies left, and I can guarantee there is, but there's no guarantee, this is the problem, I don't know. They've all gone, you see, I haven't got a clue. Well, there's not going to be any at my mum's, actually. Hang on, let's think of it. I don't think there's going to be any at my mum's. I'm trying to think, because there's issues, because I had them back, if I remember, because I wanted to keep them at Thorn House because they had CCTV in the building where I lived back in the early days, and I don't have any copies at my place. And whether I chucked them out as well, I do not know. I cannot remember. They just don't seem to be there. Actually, this is not easy to know. God, this is not helpful. I'm going to start recording in a minute. I need to think. Right, so you had the 3 times 12 Music Electronica in boxes, so 3 boxes of the Music Electronica, which got broken into in the shed the day before I moved to Yeovil, and obviously the social worker had to we had to do it alternatively. Right, so what happened after that? You had the ones I had at my place, which were from Nan's, which were in sets of 9 in boxes, because they were smaller boxes, you could only fit 9 discs in. And again, they were chucked out because I chucked the wrong bag out thinking it's a rubbish bag. When I was pissed, I took... What must have happened is I must have moved them around or something, and I didn't think straight, and I chucked the bag that I shouldn't have chucked out, and it was because the other bag was near enough full. It was like I only had like 3 days of beers, because I was mostly drinking spirits, and there's less beers going in there, the empty cans, and I was mostly eating out, apart from the sandwich I have in the evening. And then obviously 3 days later, when I went to go to the skip to retrieve my discs, it was too late because I emptied the skips, and I've lost all my discs. And then you had the storage problem as well, where I rented the garage, where I took a few discs back from my mother's and posted back to me, and I put them there. And then you had the break-in in the garage in the beginning part of 2024, before the fucking year started to turn out a fucking haywire. And at the time that occurred, they decided to step up all the threats and all the fucking action, all the fucking animal voice sounds started getting nastier. So, you know, God really has got it in for you. So, as far as there being a copy of that down my mum's, I've just been trying to think for the last few minutes, actually, in fact, when I was stopping the recording, but I'm not actually sure if there is. This is difficult to know. No, I'm not sure. No, I seriously am not sure. If I was to guess, I don't actually think there is. Not of that specific disc, because it comes as a 3-disc set. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll have to update you on this on another occasion. This is something I'm going to have to find out in the near future. I'm not actually sure there's any at my dad's either. And there's definitely none at mine. There's possibly I've even lost that fucking music series. When it comes to recorded disc form, yeah. That's right, fucking trip me up, Christ. Yeah, so you're sort of relying on 40 tracks or the dark ambient. I knew that sometime in my life, or my life's going to get worse, so I'm going to go lose my music. I've known this for many years. I've always known that there's a possibility that you're just going to have to accept that sometime in your life you are going to lose certain music tracks, even your favourite tracks. No music lasts forever, you know, no matter what you do. And when you've got sort of light energy burning you, or energy weapons, or if that's what's causing it, or signals in the air breaking discs, or wiping off hard drives and USB sticks, then obviously, you know, it's just not guaranteed. I was hiding them out going back along, but the problem is that's the worst thing I've ever done, because when you go back to play them, they're buggered. Hiding out is not an option. You hiding out discs or anything like that? I mean, I never used to talk about this because I don't want to keep it secret, but you know, but when you find out that after a winter of cold weather, or when they get waterlogged or get damaged from wet condensation, or soak and end up soaked or whatever due to temperature changes or whatever, they're not playable. They're fucked up. Even the M discs, and the M discs are supposed to last obviously they don't, but they claim they last for 1,000 years. Well, one hard winter of being left in water, or different changes, or outside weather or whatever, I can tell you now, even if you dry them off for a week or a month, they still won't play. They do bugger up. Obviously, if they're kept in an inside environment, you know, like in a room or whatever, then yes, they would play again. But you know, I didn't know that back then. So ever since around about a year of when I moved to Yeovil, that's when I stopped doing it. I don't hide anything anymore, because you're just chucking your money away, and obviously you just realise that it's not going to be playable anymore. So that's a mistake I made. I've been doing it for many years, and it's absolute waste of time doing it. Something else I want to mention. Again, this started in the beginning of 2024, I think it is. January 2024. There's 2 girls, aged somewhere between 9 and 11, sort of age, maybe 8 and 12, something like that. They were in the field there. I was walking down this path. It was one of the warmer days in January, so it's about 15 degrees, which is a very high temperature for the time of year. This is where it first occurred. So it's just those girls, they were just having fun, and they decided to walk off the field onto this path. So about 20 feet in front of me, they came from the field. They saw me, obviously. They were giggling between themselves. Didn't catch really what they were saying, because I was interrupted with some force that was stopping me walk anywhere. So as I was walking, an invisible glass or an invisible wall was stopping me walk any further. So what happened is gravity was stopping me go anywhere. So if you're like jumping on a trampoline, and you get that feeling where you don't get the bounce back feeling. You get the feeling where you walk, you go so far down, but gravity holds you down, you can't go any further. So if you try walking, it sort of stops you, and you feel sort of dizzy at the same time, like you don't want to push your way through, because it makes you feel like you're weak. And then obviously it stops you, and it holds you back. And that was there for about a minute or a minute and a half or something like that, I can't remember. So I got my camera out to film it. And what happened? The battery in the camera was showing. So I put dead, so I decided to put the other battery in. And the camera just wouldn't operate. It just refused to operate. Well, eventually it let me through. So it's like a gravitational pull. So if you put two magnets together and you try to push them together, the ones that don't go together, and they try and move away from each other, it would be that sort of feeling. But it wouldn't be so... You wouldn't have the pulse as such. The pulse wouldn't be so intense. It's like it's more a case of the rebound is not pushing you back as such. You're forcing, you have to force, you sort of... It comes to a stop, it drops, you just can't walk anywhere, it sort of blocks you from going anywhere. Very unusual feeling. On another occasion it occurred, again, 2024, was when someone was chasing me, having an argument, thinking I was Savan, and I nearly ended up getting attacked because this invisible force stopped me going anywhere. And then there's one more time it occurred. Again, it was when two youngish girls were passing, but a bit older than the two I mentioned like just now, were a bit in front of me, a bit older, more of a dry and sarcastic accent, and it wasn't as long lasting as the first whatever was holding me back. It's not a portal, it's I'm getting confused with all the words now. It's that. And again, when this was occurring, blue sky, sunny day, and again the camera didn't operate when this occurred, but there's nothing you can do about it. Don't recall it happening again, only those 3 times, and they were all before April of 2024 if I remember. Right, so obviously I'm walking home now. At the moment it's dusk. If I was asked how I'd rate this walk and how it's been this evening, I'd say it's only been about a 3 out of 10 to be fair. It's not been very enjoyable, it's not been very quaint, it's just not because of setups and stuff like that, just doesn't feel very interesting. I don't understand why. I mean, I was doing walks back in 2024 up here, and it feels worse than that. Can't quite understand this. I must have problems on my mind, or I must have issues where something's just making it feel like it's very plain. Yes, I've not really enjoyed it at all. In fact, it's one of the worstest atmospheric walks I've done in the evenings. That barrack. Yeah, it's got to be. Actually, yeah. Just feels very plain, or like unexciting, or uninteresting, unimpressive. But yeah, for some reason. I'll let you know how it goes for the rest of the walk, or if it feels any better. Actually, I don't think there's been a time where I felt like this. This sort of moany or unimpressive. Not for this walk, but like I said, it's good because I've got problems on my mind, I don't know. Right, a dog has barked to say HIV. Something else I've just remembered, because on the catalytic converter hot point up there, the traffic seems very busy. There's a tanker on there. It reminds me of last year, going back to last year, I think it might have been the same day, where everything was collapsing and falling around me. I mentioned earlier, like rocks coming out the wall, tree branches collapsing on me or wherever in that storm. Yeah, there was a tanker. When I was crossing the road, I slipped on a tanker coming into me and I nearly lost my life. So I was not very happy about that. I think it might have been on the same day, I can't remember. The very first time I came up here, the catalytic converter hot point, because you had a road closure or whatever, it was actually quite busy for traffic. In the year of 2023, the summer of 2023, there's hardly any traffic at the catalytic converter hot point. It started, but at that time it was there. 2024, there's literally every time, or near enough, 99% of all times I pass there, or if not 90, at least 90%. And we've got it again now. So I'm about to reach I'm not sure what 2025 is going to be like, but they've stepped up this action fucking heavy since the middle of November 2024, so I don't think it's going to be much better. They're just going to cause as much havoc, mayhem and shit as they can. Yeah, and I slipped on those steps, so they were hoping that I was going to go back into that car. Because that's what the government need to do, they need to hit me off, they're fucking screwed up. Right, so I didn't realise I spread shit all over the fucking field, so I've got to walk through all that. They do this several times a year, even on the bit where people walk. But, you know, it's a public footpath, but they have to accept what the farmer does in his field, because it's his field. So you have to put up with this. One thing I will say is the catalytic converter hot point, it is actually busier than it should be for this time in the evening, or this time. It's not usually that busy. It's more like the busier time of 2024. But as I've been saying, they want where they can do it, they'll step this action as heavy as they can possibly cause it. It's not going to stop. It's going to get worse. The actual 2022 was actually quite surprising. The very first time I ever come up here from this route, that is, because I've literally come up here from day one or near enough when I first moved up here, when I found out the route. But I never took this route, I took a different route back then. It's through 9 Springs I went and did it that way. So, you know, but when I started taking it, discovering the other route, 2022 was quite heavy for setups and traffic for that year. And it dropped completely in 23 and 24. It was very bad at times, yes, but not as bad as the beginning part of 2020, well, with the, you know, the 2022 late part when I first started coming up here. And whether it's because of the time I came back, I'm not sure, but it could be because of the road closure. Because the very, very first time, if I remember, hundreds of cars were on diversion, slightly just causing it to be busy if they're not diverted. Right, so they're trying to allow bike pissing, as they always do. It's sort of I always sort of enjoy a walk to some extent. You know, I just can't make out why it feels so unimpressive today. So passing Tim's house now. Just to remind you, when I first knew Tim, he said he wasn't 31 or 32 before he found his first missus. Obviously this is an old chap now. He said, but praying to God just for a couple of years, getting to know God and doing serious, you know, praying, God helped him straight away, and he got that girlfriend he was waiting for, a good looking, sexy partner, and he was happy. And but at the time, he didn't realise that I was 10 years older. And it was about 6 months later before I told him I was 10 years older. And from that time onwards, he just said, well, have you ever thought about getting a job? And I thought to myself, with the trouble I've had with work and people starting on me and whatever in the past, or going on other subjects or whatever, I thought, I'm not going to answer that question, but I know what you're trying to say. And I've said, and it says, oh, the Bible says everyone should work, and then you might find a partner. And then he said it wasn't until 31, 32, and then at that time, because I was a bit annoyed, I said what my age was. I said I'm 10 years on top of that. And that's basically when he stopped talking to me. I hardly ever spoke to him since. Then he started reporting my posts on YouTube, and I got reported to the St. John's Church for this and that. And it just went haywire, so I don't even speak to this person anymore, or his missus. And they still report me to this day, so I just keep everything off that's religious, so I mentioned St. John's Church. But what I will say is, yeah, I did it for about the same amount of time. Where his life got better, my life got worse. Nothing you can do about it. And at right time to erection, that's right, down in Street. So there's a semi-erection that's occurred, and then time allowed bike. So God's turned. God's only helping certain people. God doesn't give a fuck about other people. And it goes back to the story I mentioned earlier, where in church you've been praying and Jesus is telling you to fuck people that rape you as a child, or he's telling you that you go to the fire of hell, saying pointless praying. Jesus has turned, or causing people to attack me, or telling people to attack me, saying there he is, hit him out, saying he's to them when that's not my name. So, so it's all messed up. And this is why I stopped going to church. And then obviously I mentioned all the Rapture Dream girls. There's only actually one Rapture Dream. Well, there might be others, but maybe because I've never sort of commented on these, or if I have, this specific one is the only one that hasn't sort of made a negative suggestion to what I'm aware of, and it's that Amelia one. And possibly that, again, I don't really sort of, it's when you click like, they go on your channel and check it out and then start making videos and stuff like that, or seeing you as this or whatever, or holding a baby up, or to apply a single mirror, I don't know. Oh, it just goes on and on like that. But even when it comes to Amelia, it's too late for that anyway, even if she is an adult, because she's got someone now and she's going to be pregnant by the age of 18. So it's too late for that as well, And being 43, going out 44, as I said earlier, total waste of time, You've got to look for someone that's, well, it's not possible, is it? But anyway, I'll go into all this religious shit because I can't think what to say, because it's just suppressing me and making me feel like a piece of shit on the floor. So, Right, this is very interesting. Very, very interesting what's just happened. Can I just... well, have they got it rigged up in other countries as well? If I was to go to other countries, this set up, because that's what they're applying with the miracle that's just occurred. Just a possibility. Well, if that's the case, it's not caused by the UK government, is it? If it happens over the Isle of Wight, it's happened, when I've gone on holiday or whatever, it's happened across central London. In actual fact, where they set this action up against me in 2015 area, they've actually tried hitting off politicians off of corners, where they're trying to axe me with all this setup control around me. So whoever's causing it, I do not know. And if we go back to that time period, or around then, whenever it was, they timed where they were trying to smash vehicles up into me, or they're not happy with police officers, they cause these setups to smash into police cars as well, on several occasions, in a way where it's done like they're trying to hit off the person that's driving the police car. And that was happening at Barrow, at my old place near Burnham-on-Sea, and a Conservatives car, in fact. So that's like a black car, Conservatives, the Conservative Party, probably a local company, local government organisation, rather than the headquarters in London. But whoever's setting this force up against me, or controlling this movement around me, they don't give a fuck about these people. That's us. Sort of, you don't know who's doing it. It's whether it's Creator God, or whether it's coincidence, or whether it's another organisation that's higher up than the government, or the police. But whoever it is, they don't like the Conservatives and they don't like the police. Unless they're trying to attack me, but accidentally caused it to try and hit them off as well instead. I don't know. But that, again, that goes back 10 years ago. Not happened in recent times, though. Right, so the road below is your average 2023 flow, so it's not actually too busy at the moment. The path is walkable as well. It's when we get further down. Because if I find out that it's because it cuts off around about here onwards, and if it's cut off completely, what it means is that you'll have to take the road from now on, which is going to make things very awkward when I do walks up here. At least this part's stable enough, and if people eliminate walking on there when it's wet, that will hold off at least for another until about September this year. That's okay as long as it's not too wet, because the problem is it's falling apart, this path, and this means that by this time next year it might not be walkable at all, which means that going to Barracks is going to be very awkward, and you'd have to take the road, and it's a dangerous road. unless of course the council fits the path. But the thing is, the path's almost discontinued, and they were going to make it private. So there's a lack of people using it. There's sort of, you know, they were going to actually do that. Right, is this bit air? Assuming it stays dry from, if it can stay in that position to about May, you'll be okay until September. Because I don't know when I'm going to move from the Oval, you see, because when I move I won't be doing this, I'll be doing other exciting things or going to better places. Assuming it's not like a slum when I move. Anyway, I managed to get past that. There's also a fallen tree down here. So the path seems to be okay for now. But obviously it's been wet or raining. There's a bit more of a different issue, but it's going to start drying up as we come into the spring weather. It should be okay for the rest of this year, for at least till that sort of time. Because when September comes, that's when the path starts to erode big time. And it seems like I've got part of the big part. Yes, good. Right, so the road down below is not that busy this evening, which is good. It can all change. Maybe they're waiting for me to get on the path, or maybe I'm out of time to their setups. And that's never the case. Right, so I'm slipping on this. Nothing you can do there. I nearly twisted my back. And that wouldn't be good because I needed to do things tomorrow and the next day and whatever. Luckily I don't think I've done any damage. I don't want to sprain my back, you see. You've got that bit of worry there if you come up here. And there's no other way, you see. You can't go out there because it's too muddy. It's not like it was when back in 2021. It was fine, and then when you had the torrential rainstorms in 2022, it was impossible to go that way. And I found out that was you're not allowed to anyway, so it's private. It's been made private. Right. You've got to prepare to get muddy shoes when you go down there. You have to bear that in mind even in summer mode. It's not usually this muddy, but right, someone says veg, ha ha ha, just. I'm going to leave this on record until I get back. Right, so right on the corner down Lee Street. Your average flow at the moment, or just a bit under in fact, well, for this time in the evening anyway, comparing it to 2024. level flow. Right, we've got a started car that occurs every single time I've come in this direction in 2024, especially in this direction and most of the other direction. There's been a started car every time. There's not been a single time in 2024, not in this direction, where I haven't passed a started car before 1 AM in the morning. The person stopped the engine on that car and lights still.
Like especially with my
Right, catalytic converter control. That's been every single... Near enough. Because the creator god is fucking buckled. So back home, Willie up, so our bikes banging and it seems to be fresh as well.